Alrighty. Okay. I think we're live. Looks like we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what to do when we first go live. We need you to leave a like, first of all. That would be great. Go ahead, leave a like. And then on top of that, too, tell us if you can actually hear us. That's a very, very important thing. What's going on, John?
Just making sure that the text is not running off the side of the screen.
Ah.
Yes.
Aesthetic.
So people can see.
We're live. Okay, I saw the first one.
You
Doe
know what?
eyes. Thanks.
I'm thinking about the playback here. 1 second, guys. I'm going to make a little adjustment.
Okay.
Make a minor adjustment here.
There we go.
This needs to be a tad bigger.
Oh, yeah.
I understand John's concern. Don't worry, John. I got us covered. Even though I'm going to minimize us in a tiny bit.
We don't matter.
It's okay. You're
It's
the
the
king.
people. The people.
Don't
matter.
worry, guys. This is the beginning. Welcome. We're going to do a Flash live stream spoiler talk today. It's going to be a blasty blast. This movie is killing it at the box office
Crushing
right now.
it.
I've never seen a movie make so much more money in my entire life.
Look out, Avatar.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's doing insanely well. But before we go into everything, I got a couple of announcements that I want to make, especially for those who are going to be watching this on the playback. But if you're live, you're going to be the first ones to hear this right now. This is the official announcement for it. You know what? I'm going to just temporarily just make it about us really quick.
Whoa.
Hold on. Oh, wait. Hold on a sec. We are going to be having a panel at Comic-Con.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool.
Saturday. Yep. Don't worry, John.
Saturday.
You're invited.
Thank
John's
you.
just now finding out.
This is news to
I
me.
already booked your hotel, John. So we are going to be having what Saturday is it going to
We
be?
got a Saturday panel, the 20th. Like Saturday. That's the day.
Whatever the Saturday is, where the Marvel panel is. Yeah. So apparently our WonderCon panel went over so well because we had that like on a Sunday morning, which is like a shitty
Kiss of
time
death.
to have a panel, like just an awful time. And then we ended up like having so many people show up that they were like, we can give you Comic-Con and we'll give you Saturday a few hours before Marvel.
Which
And I
is
was
just
like,
flabbergasted.
wow, that's
to
a
me.
really
Wowie.
generous offer. And admittedly was a little bit stressed because
was
Comic-Con is already a very stressful event. But then enough people talking to were like, you should just do it. And I was like, fine, okay, we'll pull the plug. And yeah, we're going to be having a Comic-Con panel. And
I wanted to
so,
see John's reaction live, and it's very funny.
yeah. John's reaction was, oh, interesting.
Well, I also am
Seems
sitting
to
here
me.
like, don't just assume you're involved. Like, like
It would be
cool,
terrible.
congratulations,
Yeah, but
guys.
Can you imagine?
You know how much shit we would get if it was just like Coy and I.
Well, I can
The
imagine
horrors.
many logical scenarios in which that would be like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
we can only do the two of you.
No,
like,
no,
like,
man.
yeah.
I'm so. But I've known it
Oh,
for like a
absolutely.
week, and I've been like
That's
waiting to see
very
John's
exciting.
face.
Yeah,
That's
it's
very, very
very-
exciting. I cannot even believe it. I'm honored. I'm not worthy.
So yeah, a large part thanks to Coy, large part thanks to Paul. Can we say his name?
Yeah, he's my publicist.
All right, cool. Yeah, we can.
He's on my IMDb.
We can mention Paul. So yeah, guys. Oh, you know what I just noticed? This chat is not refreshing. That's a problem. Oh my God, I was like, no one's interacting in the chat.
really?
No one
Live at all?
cares. No one likes
This
any
Yeah,
of
like
us.
a
This
holy
whole
cow,
time,
San
this
Diego.
whole time, I was like, I don't think anyone in this live. So if you saw our energy,
Suddenly, I was like, Greg was right. We shouldn't have a panel.
if you saw our energy, I was like, we maybe not don't look the most excited right now because I'm like, no one's interacting with us.
This,
The whole
the,
time I was like, this panel's not going to go as well as I thought.
the enthusiasm rides off
And
of
then I
you.
realized the chat was just frozen. So
That was so funny.
Jesus
I
Christ.
literally lived what you thought
I
would
was
happen.
like, wow, this is really not going over.
Gotta call Paul and just tell him, nah, man, we don't want that heat.
That's why my reaction was so little. It was
needed-
just because like
it was
no one else was
reactionary.
telling me how to react.
Yeah, what is San Diego
Oh, that's
Comic
I
Con?
think San Diego starts the 19th, so I think it'd be the 22nd.
Is it?
San Diego's
No,
the-
no, we're the 22nd. We're the 22nd.
It's
yeah.
Wednesday's preview night, so yeah,
Okay.
the 22nd.
All right. Well, here we go, guys. Let's talk about
Kick
the
it off
Flash.
with energy.
Let's get it going. Now before we go into the spoilers, because yes, we're obviously going to have a lot of spoilers here. We're going to be doing this spoiler talk. I keep saying spoilers. We have not heard John's opinion on the movie. So, John, why don't you go ahead, kick us off? Because Coy and I, we rewatched it. We went to
Seen
the
it twice
premiere
together.
as his +1. Yeah. And I'll tell you guys, it didn't actually get better for me, which I was surprised by. I was convinced it would get better for me on the second viewing. And it actually, and this rarely happens, especially with comic book movies. Usually they go up. And this one, it kind of went down a little bit for me. I'm still like a 7.5, I would say, like a 7 to 7.5 out of 10.
It got better for
obviously.
me after the second viewing, not during it, but only by like a little bit.
But John, what you saw it one time. What
I've
was
seen
your?
Did you see it a
Did you-
second
oh,
time?
you see it twice?
I saw it again
did
last night.
I heard off camera what your first opinion was.
Yes.
Did it go up for you the second time around? Because you were on the lower side. Like he was way lower than us.
Whoa.
I
And-
came
Yeah.
out the first viewing very conflicted. Like that night, I was like, wow, I have no idea how to feel. Because at first I was like, okay. And then, after an hour, I was like, I don't know if I like that at all. And then an hour later, I was like, but there's some really great stuff in there. And then I saw it the second time, and the second time was a much more smooth viewing experience, and it was a much more fun viewing experience, partially because the second time I went in knowing to expect a comedy. I looked at it like a comedy the second time, and that
Sure.
alleviated a lot of things, but I still left with many of the same takeaways, if that makes sense. It was a smoother, more enjoyable film experience the second time. I was less distracted by like, whoa, where's the tone? But yeah, it's still a kind of strange hodgepodge with some things in it that I really, really like, some things in it that are quite questionable, and a lot that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
It's
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's a little all over the place, this movie.
It went up from a 7.7 to either a 7.9 or an 8.1 for me. I know it's not an 8.0, so it's either 7.9 or an 8.1. I think that's because of the time I've thought about it and the times I've talked on other shows, the times that I've like conferred with people that had highs and lows with it. I do think that the heart of it is so much better than it should have been with all the interference, and I think a lot of my negatives are because of the interference, which doesn't change the fact that that is part of the movie. Like, it is very much a 5-movie, but I do think that it accomplished so many things that are nigh impossible. Like, I genuinely feel like I know who the Flash is now. I genuinely feel like I know, like, a good take on a Flashpoint story, which is very dense. I do feel like it was a great Batman 3, but it never wasn't a Flash movie. I do feel like they did the fan service in a way that didn't feel, in the first 2 acts anyway, that didn't feel like it undercut the film itself. And the hardest thing of all for me was it was a movie that was so heart-wrenching, but also genuinely funny. I laughed way more than I expected. I genuinely had some belly laughs, and I almost cried near the end. So it did enough for me that I was able to look past some of my issues with the style of the CGI and with the clear 5 movies that it had to be.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so we all,
That was, we're all different this time.
We all have a
It's like a 7.
None of us have like an seem to have this like over glowing praise.
Not a
for
5 or
it.
a 10.
I would say that if you watched our at least the review that Coy and I did out of the theater, the things that I thought were strengths still stand. But on my second viewing, the things that I was saying I had issues with actually became even more underscored for me when I was watching it. And I just couldn't look past a lot of things that it became, and the novelty of fun actually diluted a tad bit for me on the
'cause you'd
second
seen it
viewing.
already.
Yeah.
The
So
novelty.
I'm able to see past like the excitement of seeing Michael Keaton and CGI cameo fest. Which the CGI, the cameos at the end never really did anything for me because the actors aren't there. I mean, I know you can't get Christopher Reeves
Apparently
there.
Nick Cage filmed his, and I did not get that impression.
It looked like someone could have made that on YouTube. I think the Lego animation that kid did for Across the
That
Spider-Verse.
14-year-old genius.
But like, if he filmed that, I wish that they actually let him have
Film
a
it.
line. That way, it would have felt like at least we got somewhat of a character.
He
They even
would show
gave
up
George
for that.
Clooney a line.
Yeah.
And
I liked the Clooney a lot. I really thought that after years of Clooney apologizing, having his one line be like, "You're not fucking Batman," was genius. Like, I thought
Sure.
that worked.
Well, guys, in the chat, can you spam for me really quick? Spam for me out of 10. What would you rate your experience of The Flash? I want to see what you all have to say.
I also did my DC ranking. That was very interesting to look at where I put it because I was like, what do I feel about this? Like, it's
Yeah.
hard to put it with other movies because it's so like, what is this?
Well,
Okay.
and it is very much a victim of its own hype. I think
Man, it did not help having
all
Tom
that
Cruise
Tom
be like,
Cruise
cinema.
and Zaslav and James
Scorsese
Gunn
really
and
should not have
everybody.
praised this one.
Well, you see, I think where the movie is, this is when I really, I mentioned, we briefly said it in our non-spot. Okay, so where are we at? Okay.
A lot of
A
eights,
lot of
7
7/8.
halves.
A lot of 7
So
eights.
we're on the same page.
Yeah. See, when I first saw it, I was an 8. And then the second time it went down like 7.5 to 7. I'm like somewhere in that range. I think the threat of General Zod is just not there's no palpable tension at all to that. What I really feel like they needed to do was take a little bit of a note out of how they handled Avengers Endgame, because, Thanos dies in that movie, and then they have a Thanos coming back from the past, too. So it's like a Zod situation, right? And that Endgame did such a good job at reestablishing the threat of Thanos all over again, to the point where when you get to that final battle, it's still intense. You still understand the threat level and whatnot. Whereas Zod, it really relies on you just having seen Man of Steel,
and caring,
like
also
so
caring
fresh.
about Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just seeing, like, you have to be like, man, I love Zod and Man of Steel.
And I did it. I was not only, I just wasn't a fan of the way Zod was portrayed, but I also thought they really failed at reestablishing Zod so much in this movie, to the point that when they got to there, I didn't even see how he was much of a threat until he actually killed Supergirl.
And then I was like,
then I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's better this time around or something like that. And there's little things about the pacing that were really just bugging me throughout. And when it first became highlighted to me, it was when Batman and the two Flashes, they parachute off of the plane, and then it just cuts to they're on the ground instead of seeing them parachute. I was like, okay, all right. We're skipping a beat. And then that kind of just keeps happening a lot, where every scene after they save Supergirl just starts becoming this is good enough. Move on. This is good enough.
And that's
move
why
on.
I feel like
they don't even get a moment with Supergirl's suit. You know, it's just cut to her wearing the suit, and even she's like, I don't care about humanity. 5 minutes later, I'm here to help humanity. It just starts moving so fast. And then even when they get to the multiverse collision at the end, I'm like, there was nothing really set up about this. To be a finale threat, And look, guys, the reason I'm talking so much is because my issues with the movie couldn't say in a non-spoiler, because this is obviously
all
spoilers.
Yeah.
And I want to have a more balanced opinion, even as I'm talking about it right now. It's just I got some things that I'm like, I want to clarify
Greg and I
what
have
I want to talk about. Yeah.
had that hard of a time doing a non-spoiler ever.
Yeah, almost every scene didn't finish.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They were so just quick, get it over with. It started becoming that way, especially after they saved Supergirl.
And there's a 4-hour cut. Sorry, John.
Oh,
Keep
no,
trying to say
you're
something.
good.
My bad.
It's a movie to me that feels like the parts are greater than the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. It's like there are a lot of great scenes, beats, moments, but the whole that they turn into doesn't feel as well rounded as certain moments do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on the second viewing, I was like, okay, for a movie that has to chop through the second half, it could be worse, it could be choppier, but it is very apparent, or it feels like a lot of stuff was changed, remixed, etc. And there are so many scenes where you could tell, by the way people are facing, there was more dialogue or something here that got excised.
Yeah, it was kind of like that throughout.
Yeah.
You know what? I got a big question. Big question.
Yes.
How come Barry never bothered to find out who killed his mom?
Because that's the sequel.
He just didn't have time to run over after dropping off fixing the tomatoes on the shelf.
Be
like, who's the one who killed my mom?
How come Barry
he just never could find out who that was?
Real answer? Sequel. My answer in headcanon was I think he thought then he would try to change it. My rationale
interfere too
was
directly.
that he would know
You're being
who it
way
was.
Too kind to the movie.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, wouldn't you then want to act on it?
I feel like with the amount of power he has in the movie, I'm like, he would at least want to feel like, okay, let me try to convict this guy in my present time. Then
but that's a huge change because then his mom dies.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
no,
it.
I'm saying after his mom was leaving, he didn't find out who actually killed his mom.
Michael C. Hall as Yellow Flash.
So it would be. I mean, yeah, okay. The answer is Reverse Flash.
It is,
but the movie plays it like it was someone who just broke in and stabbed him.
Which is what you think.
Yeah.
That's the rationale. But it was Reverse Flash, which I think was supposed to be the sequel, which, according to the box office, will not occur. But I hope that Sasha Calle gets to play Supergirl again. I didn't. I left. I think the reason it's grown on me is you're right. The pieces are what I think of. And Andy Muschietti has said there's a 4-hour cut. I think that might be the movie that I would love to experience. But when I think of the pieces, I'm so impressed by the pieces. I think it went up from that C+ to B- ish. But that's also so tricky in just the scope of DC. There's like an anti-bell curve of DC for me because
Yeah.
like DC is a different animal of how their movies go really, really low to really, really high. They don't have an average. Like if you look at DC and whether you agree with which ones you think are A's and which ones you think are F's, you inherently think some are like 10s and some are 2s because there are Snyder fans and there are DC fans and there are some that are both, but rarely do they agree which one is their best. That's why I like ranking these movies because it's so vitrolic. But there is nowhere to put Flash, that's the fascinating thing to me is it's like I had more of a good time watching this than most DC films. I was more joyous. So that inherently is going to be high. But it is a movie that doesn't have scenes that end because there's a 4-hour movie out there.
Well, okay. All right, so sweet. I want to make sure, because I feel like this is my fault, I totally kicked this off with negatives.
I was trying to bring it back. I really was like trying to
I don't want to.
There's so much right.
I don't want to. Yeah, there is a lot that I think does click, and so yeah. But John, I mean, again, I mean, what other guys? I'm seeing that we got so many super chats, and I do want to get to those. Thank you. Really do appreciate it a lot. Obviously, they like live stream playbacks don't ever really have like good CPMs, so the super chats really do help out with the
clicks
channel
per minute.
Cost per meal.
It's just it's what the ad revenue is on a playback. So yeah, no, they really do help out a lot. So thank you guys, and also created some fun audios for the ones who are $10 super chats, $10 and up, $15 and up, and $25 and up. Great, I got some fun audios for you guys.
Yes.
You're gonna like it. John, name some positives to flow us, and then we're gonna get to some super chats. Yeah, because we've got to talk about some things in here. Dark Flash at the end. We got to talk about that Batman George Clooney cameo.
Muschietti's doing Batman.
We got to talk about more of the cameos. And but yeah, Johnny, what other what are some positives that you felt?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the best thing in the movie certainly is just the emotional core with Barry, and for me, with Andy Muschietti, one thing I've been waiting for and hoping for is to see more of just his voice and personality in some of these movies. And I thought that the stuff with Barry and Nora, especially, and I could be projecting, but it feels like that was kind of informed by and ripped from his own life, and I thought that stuff was really sweet, and I loved the sort of aspect of culture they added on top of that. I thought while the two Barrys, there are times when the effects are very noticeable, but the 80% of the time-ish for me, that it was working. It was really working and very impressive.
And the acting. Like,
and the acting,
he has to go on a hero's journey in two different directions, which I think is genius, because heroes' stories are always that, like, Jungian hero's journey. Yeah. And you've got a young one going on the just don't be annoying arc. And then you've got the mature one going on, like, how do I become a hero and accept the fact that I have to let my mom die? I have to effectively kill my mother in order to save the world. So you've got just maturity and then true maturity. So it's like maturity of life, maturity of hero, and they both cause each other. Yeah. It's this really beautiful, and those are the moments that I think it goes higher for me, because just thinking of the causality of that and the acting required to do, and the directing. You have to direct a whole movie with the young one, direct a whole movie with the mature one, because like they're not, the haircut and all the changes. And then also he has to act opposite, not him, because he doesn't exist. There's only one Ezra. And that's such powerful acting, to receive nothing from your counterpart, to be able to act off nothing and have that fully formed versions of you. So impressive for the acting. And then Sasha, like, there's so much love for her in here, and that makes me happy, because if you think about it, she's the only character that's new. We have so much love for Affleck and Keaton, and Ezra's played this character before. And then she's taking on a role that people are like, rah, Cavill. Like, everyone is wanting Cavill, and she's able to come in and be this positive, like, Sasha.
Yeah, because they don't give her a lot to do.
Whenever she's there, it's
like Sasha actually, I feel like, does a stupendous job, considering the fact that she is not given a lot to do. And I know that's a default for a lot of people, but it's also really impressive what she's been able to pull off with that one, with the limited screen time that she has.
It's like 12 minutes to 15 minutes. Like, she's not in it that much.
Because you could feel that brewing rage underneath her, but you also don't feel like she's villainy. I do have a question, though, a big question for the chat. Can you guys help me out here? One, they left the suit with her in her little prison. Whatever, I'll accept that. Two, was she captured immediately upon arriving on Earth, and she's been there the entire time? Because I understand, I get it, what they're going for. It's a riff on when Superman is captured in the Flashpoint comic. But one thing I loved about that Superman portrayal is that he really feels like an alien entity that does not know humanity. And so you're
Yeah.
kind of like, oh shit, should we have awoken this guy?
Feels like a creature. Yeah,
I'm
he feels like
sorry.
a creature raised in captivity. Yeah.
Right, but in here, I'm like, this seems like they're pretty acquainted with, like, they speak the language.
I felt like
and-
she was protecting Cal that was coming, and then once he got there, she never was able to do it, so she was in hiding. That was the vibe I got.
And
because
then
she
she
talked about,
eventually
and then
got.
she got captured. Right, that's
Well, and
the
then
vibe
I
I
was-
got.
You feel it a
the
lot
other
when
thing
you
I was
put
thinking
vibes
was-
in.
was-
Let me conclude some things that the
Can
movie
I-
didn't
let
say.
me just go ahead and tell you how it was.
At all.
Well, and
As the screenwriter, Christina Hobbs.
what I realize, and this is a funny movie to talk about too,
I have
because
a question, yeah.
I don't know what to attribute anything to in terms of the writer or the director or just studio, whatever. But yeah, when it comes to that part of the story, like. God, I just completely lost my train of thought. What was the last thing you said?
The Sasha kidnapped.
Yeah, like with her, I had to wonder if it was related to. I really liked the Michael Keaton explanation of
perfect.
timelines and the spaghetti thing, and that made me wonder because Kal-El, as we know him by this time with Zod, is like an adult man, and she seems like a teenager. So I was also like, when did you get here in relation to when they sent Kal-El? Because if you guys were here at the same time, you would either be older or they sent him later. And so I couldn't tell if she was supposed to be older than the child or if she was going to like grow up parallel and watch out for him. So I kind of got confused as to like the whole
Timeline
context of
element.
how her character existed. And then on top of that was like, okay, and then how does her like understanding of our speech work and all that stuff?
I definitely gathered that she was older and has been here a while because when he said like the child did not survive the procedure, she had seemed to be looking for him at least
Right.
some.
Yeah.
So that implies she's been here and also been in prison because you can't look for him in prison.
Yeah.
So like though that's her being here a bit, and I assume she was at least like 15 years old.
Okay, that's fair enough. And yeah, people are saying she
There's
was.
reason
yeah,
behind
that
my
she was-
logic.
She was older when she arrived. Hey, Bucky Barnes, thanks for being here.
That's how it
bring
felt.
over- And also, guys, if you can leave a like on the stream, that would be great. Yeah, but overall, I mean, I know we kicked off with some negatives, which makes it sound like we really don't like the movie. Overall, I think the movie though, it's saved a lot by fun and intention. Like I think at the end of the day, there is a fervent approach to the way Muschietti went about it, regardless if there's some editing choices that I'm like, it's really obvious you had to pare shit down.
Yes.
I still think the passion is on display.
Yeah.
I still think there's a lot of love and care put into it, despite whatever some people feel about the CGI, which of course does bother me from time to time. Weirdly, this is a strange movie for me with the CGI because I am one of those people who I'm like, oh no, that's bad. I'm not that bothered by it.
I just separated it.
only with the Ezra faces when it bothered me, when I could really see
So
it.
it was like an emotional
But
thing.
most of the time,
Well, because
I could. But okay, like when it didn't work for me, with the cameos, it did nothing for me emotionally because they're not characters, and I was just like, yay, they animated them in here. That's cool. But they don't. It's like looking at Space Jam New Legacy people. Like they put on costumes, sweet,
Yeah,
but they're not a character, and they're not actually there. So that did nothing to make it tangible for me. So those did nothing for me, but really the Speed Force that a lot of people, which looks like, yeah, they do look like PS3 faces. Yeah.
The Chronosphere.
At the same
Chronoball, yeah.
Chronoball, thank you.
At the same time, it didn't bother me because that actually felt intentional to me, the way they look in the Speed. Not when you're showing Nick Cage, who's supposed to be exactly from a multiverse, and he's peeking in and watching the actions happen.
Sure.
I'm talking about like the different variations and different times that could be happening and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that actually didn't bother me because something felt purposeful about that effect.
One
Well, and
thing
when
would
you-
have.
When you get a brief chance to examine it too, there's like a cool flip book layering that they
Yeah,
do with
Yeah.
and they
aspects of it,
cascade
yeah.
down and up.
Yeah.
I would have. One thing would have made a lot of it better for me. Just one thing is if after the baby shower scene, the baby that came out of the microwave was a real baby, then it would have implied to me that in the Speed Force, the perception Barry has of these things is that weird CGI. Versus the baby stayed like Ally McBeal baby when they were not speedy, and I was like, oh, that's just bad CGI baby. But if the baby shower was like because he's so fast they look
Yeah.
different, that would have been a reasoning. So then when
Yeah.
it wasn't, I was like, ooh, that's just bad baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I get you don't want to put a real baby of any kind in any microwave, real or fake.
It's a fake
Because
microwave.
they cut to him holding a real baby, but when he pulls it out, you're like, that
You
is a
put
very
that
CG
baby in a microwave.
Yeah, I'm still conflicted about the CG faces, but yeah, like it
Love
is.
the baby shower scene. Other than this,
I feel like they
I
probably.
like the baby shower.
I thought it was
scene.
so funny.
Yeah.
It's so dark.
yeah.
The acid
The whole
flying at
prologue
the
got
baby was
better.
so funny.
And the first time I saw it, I was filled with a sense of cool because I liked the Flash show. I mean, I liked what I saw originally. I saw the first 4 seasons and I gave up.
Substantial.
But there were sequences even in the Flash show where I was like, "That's really cool that they're doing this on TV. I wonder what they could do with a movie." And a lot of times, like when he first, like that first Speed Force run is immaculate to me.
Sure.
Like even though it's sure looks cartoony, I still think it's awesome as hell. And I love that they can really capture the distance of him going from Central City,
Gotham, yeah.
Star City's Arrow. Sorry,
Yeah,
okay.
we had this talk.
Okay, all right. Central City to Gotham, and how they really capture that distance. And the baby shower moment was great. But
Well, and it's a scene.
Yeah.
What I realized too is that prologue is really cool because it's a scene within a scene within a scene, and then it all wraps back around to the sandwich guy. And like, there's a lot of really fun and clever, like dilated scenes like that.
scene within a scene within a scene.
Yeah, like,
Inception.
which is
And
neat, which is fun, and it's in the spirit of the Flash.
And
even
Kiersey finally got to play.
she got to show up and provide exposition.
I was happy for Kiersey to
So-
get to be Iris West.
all right,
Sure.
guys. We got some super chats I definitely want to catch up on. They're coming in right now. Thank you, guys. So what I wanted to ask you guys in the chat, the big hype going into this movie was Michael Keaton more than anything else. Michael Keaton. So can you guys spam in the chat for Moi? 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. No.
Just tell us it was a 9 out of 10.
Press 9.
Out of 10, what would you say you thought of Michael Keaton's return? Haha. Batman
Let's see what you did there.
return. You see what I did there, Coy?
was
So
nice, it was
good,
nice.
dude. So
See
good.
what I did, Coy?
You
Did he
just
rise?
The
Did
whole
he return?
dang thing, man. It
He'll
was.
play him forever.
I liked Michael Keaton. I thought he did a fine job. The second time, it played a lot smoother to me meeting him, because the first time with him, you know, I get you got the mystery of the build-up of like, oh, who's under all that hair? A stunt double. But the second time,
A very young stunt double.
the second time I was able to drink in his performance, because he's doing a sort of a more subtle performance, and I appreciate, because, you know, Barry's so
people
big.
loved him.
Oh, man.
I do think there are aspects of, like, you could remove him and not all the things would change necessarily, but I did like him, and I thought he did a really nice job. Like, he showed up certainly for this movie.
The writing of the time paradox was genius. I think that's like maybe the most succinct explanation I've ever seen a multiverse be explained, and I have craved spaghetti since. I've actually bought spaghetti and have not yet cooked it, but I
love
have
the
spaghetti.
retro-causal thing.
It's genius.
Like, yeah.
Not only
It's
was the
great.
mom dying about tomato sauce and spaghetti was the family meal, but then spaghetti is the time travel. There's so much great spaghetti.
Yeah.
Not since 8 Mile have I thought of spaghetti this much.
I do love his Batman fight. As much as you're like, that's definitely not Michael Keaton under it.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, one thing with the other Batman that we've gotten since, like, Christian Bale, you can fathom that might be Christian Bale underneath the suit. You can fathom that's Ben Affleck. You can fathom that's Robert Pattinson. When Michael Keaton's kicking ass, you're like, that ain't Michael Keaton.
Especially fighting the giant when he's like hopping around and then he gets to the ground, he's really tired. I'm
But
like,
it's still a really cool fight.
Oh, it's a great sequence.
It's like the actual martial arts of it all was awesome.
And it felt like it continued from 89 because he didn't have kryptonite. He didn't have any way to fight these things. So it was like, what if that Batman stopped fighting soon after we left him and then had to do this out of nowhere? Like the old tech worked. I would have loved to see Marlon Wayans.
At the same time, yeah, that would have been a hell of a
Justice
cameo.
Can you
for
imagine Marlon Wayans
Yeah, that
pops
would have
up?
been, that would have been a
I
hell.
would
If you
love
guys
that.
don't know, he was originally Robin, cast as
And
Robin.
still gets
Yeah.
residuals.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's-
God,
yeah.
does he?
Marlon Wayans gets money for Batman.
Good.
As he deserved, he got cast.
He's been my favorite Wayans brother for a long time.
I met Billy D. Williams at a con, and I didn't have him sign a anything Lando because he's my like Two-Face. So he signed a Two-Face comic for me, and it's
Oh,
one of my
nice.
prized possessions.
Absolutely, it is.
We're so close.
Well, yeah, guys. Alrighty. So let's kick this off. All right, we got Dakota Jones with a 10.
Woo!
Let's hope this doesn't blow out anyone's eardrums. You let me know.
Run, Barry, run to the super chats.
Hey.
We'll never know,
We can't hear it.
but you can.
It's so weird.
On our end, we can't hear it. Did you hear it?
And was it
Coy
deafening?
can verify they all worked
I
right
was
before
listening
we went live. I
and
tried
chuckling.
them multiple
Let
times.
us know if it's too loud.
Made me chuckle every
Read
time.
this really quick.
I'm excited to
you
talk
can
about.
you can read his thing while I do this.
Okay. Dakota. Yeah. Thanks, John.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You
He said
can
I
do this
read it.
immediately,
Then he
walks in.
yeah.
Yeah.
He said, I love this movie. Seeing Ben again was a highlight and loved his opening scene. Wish we had more time with Dark Flash and Supergirl. Was that Ezra? It looked like Matthew Modine to me in some shots. Yeah, I liked Ben Affleck's action scene. There are parts about when he's getting tossed around on the freeway that don't. It didn't bother me as much the second time, but at first time I'm like, there's like no weight to the way he moves around here. When he's like, the second he gets off the bike, there's like no weight to the way he moves.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck really raved about that Wonder Woman moment before. Like he said, if I'm not mistaken, he said
That was the moment he figured
that
out
was
how
the
to
moment
play
he figured out how to play
Batman.
Batman, and maybe it's the way it's cut together. But I'm like, I don't know. This feels like real Justice League shit to me.
It feels like when she leaves, there was like a conversation between him and Barry that got like
Yes.
snipped out, and then Barry's
wonder
just
if
like, I gotta go get my sandwich.
I
Bye.
think Superman was in that scene. I
I
think the opening was like a Justice League, not just two of them. I think it was everyone, and then they had to cut around it.
and
Probably.
I don't like the bat suit, honestly, when he's standing in the on the. I'm not a fan of the way the bat suit looks. I wish they just kind of kept what they did with Zack Snyder's Justice League or BVS. There's something that was like, I mean, you needed a kind of armored suit to explain how he's surviving
That
tumbling on the
car.
freeway and all that.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that, but I wasn't a huge fan of the look. I did like his Ben Affleck, just him being Bruce Wayne scene.
Loved his Bruce in this.
Again, felt like that was probably a longer scene, but it does set up the idea of, like, these experiences is what made you, and you can really see that the second you interact with young Barry, who did not experience the trauma.
I also love that how that paralleled with what the difference in the Bruces would be, because with young Bruce, Ben Affleck's older young Bruce, we see him kind of addressing how he would interact with trying to save, and how like he's just lonely and he's sad and he's broken. And then we see a fully sad, lonely Bruce, but he actively wants to help. As soon as he's like, wait, you did the thing I couldn't do. And I love that Ben Affleck's Bruce is just like kind of more broken, because he doesn't ever even get hope. He doesn't even get that S. Like, he just stays like removed, whereas Keaton's like, you brought me back. This is the bringing full circle. What you were able to do is the thing I couldn't accomplish. Whereas Ben Affleck is a totally different take on that character. That I felt, but I did think that like the humor was cut by the edit, and I do feel like Ben Affleck and Muschietti shot way more that is the stuff Ben Affleck liked.
Definitely. What do you think of Ben Affleck?
I liked Ben Affleck. I liked his later scene with Barry most of his appearance. That was the scene where I was like, oh, okay, I could tell he's sort of figured that. I thought of that thing he said, and I didn't realize it was from the Wonder Woman scene. But yeah, I liked the opening with him a lot better the second time. The first time it was sort of like, okay, like this feels very sort of impersonal in a way, or something. There was something about the business as usual quality that he was doing it with that clicked way better for me the second time, because this movie does in some ways remind me of watching a DC animated movie.
We said that actually. That was one of the first things.
That's exactly what we said. Yeah.
Yeah, and Batman in some of those moments can be sort of like business as usual, like just let me handle this, Barry, But yeah, I liked that opening scene a lot more the second time around, and it kind of. It captured that fun of like, oh yeah, the Justice League is around doing Justice League stuff.
Yeah.
And also too, you commented about Dark Flash, which was something that as like predictable as it is, I thought they could have made something like really fun and interesting out of that, and something kind of rich out of that. And it was a bummer not to be able to, because too, they just give him so many like mannerisms, and he's like drooling everywhere, and there's just something interesting about that. And your thing about Matthew Modine, what struck me about Ezra Miller in this is there's so many times where the effect you can kind of tell, but what I realized is there are shots where they're not both in the same scene. It's just like a close-up on one Barry, and he'll have a totally CG face.
Okay.
And that's the part that I was like, what is why do we have like a Batman's mustache thing or Superman's mustache thing going on with Barry's face when there's nobody else in the shot even. It's like in the plane and stuff like that.
Well, thank you, Dakota. Ismail Montoya. Oh, someone's like, you're too picky. We either love everything or we're too picky. It's always the case, right?
Shills, haters, we're both.
I wish we got just one more Ben Affleck scene, but it's always nice to just see him. And I did like all his bike sequences a lot.
We also saw him get to be Bruce Wayne getting out of an SUV at the premiere, and I was like, that's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Ismail Montoya. Hey, guys, not my favorite multiverse movie, but okay. I still don't understand how they jumped to a different Earth without choosing its number. It's a good question. I'm sure Coy has a justification.
So in the comic books, there's this actually really fun concept of Earth 1, Earth 2, all these things. And we have that idea for years since the first Crisis. The Crisis in DC is kind of like a reboot of the whole system. So Infinite Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths, there's all these things. And one of them, the most iconic one, is Supergirl dies. And they try to reset all continuities. And they end up like renumbering the comics in our continuity, like in our world, as a way to mirror that. But what's fun is every Earth thinks it's Earth 1. So there's this really good like running joke of like, yeah, how would you number them? It's not like we all call each other. So everyone thinks they're 1, but everyone else labels them other ones. So there is no numbering system except for the one that own universe labels, because there's no communication between them. So there's like maps and stuff where Batman has like these things, but you don't like pick it. In this case, Barry was thrown out of it and landed in a different chronal timeline because of his own choices. But like that Earth wouldn't be labeled anything except Earth 1 to them, just as our Earth wouldn't be anything but Earth 1 to us.
Yeah, see? It's explained in the movie.
Had an answer for
Right?
you. You said I would, and I did.
Right? Johnny.
Ooh.
Johnny's saying, cameos or knowing an actor in the film beforehand.
I only knew about. I'd only heard of like 1 or 2 rumors, but I didn't know half the things that were going to appear here.
I heard about. I mean, everything was kind of semi-ruined for me.
Most was ruined for me.
Well, I mean, the Nick Cage one, I
didn't know
heard
about that.
I heard a Superman cameo, and then in my notification bells, someone put Nicolas Cage.
I was
And
scrolling
was
Instagram.
like, damn it, I managed to avoid that until someone said Nicolas Cage.
I was watching one of
Yes.
those things where he breaks down his career, and somebody asked him about Superman, and he was like, he said something about like, I mean, I would love to do. I mean, like it could happen, like not for very long, but you never know. And I was like, I bet he's in the Flash.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a spoiler, Nick Cage.
I was like, he didn't say it at all, but I was like, you left that one little piece of openness. I bet you have a
Yeah.
cameo in this movie.
So I knew the George Clooney because of other people in our space that like to ruin things. for
Well,
others.
the George Clooney one, I mean, I think it was Grace Randolph who put out that she was hearing
said
about people, and then, like, they put out, like, several Batmen, and I was like, well, I don't think Christian Bale's going to do it.
Not without Nolan.
I feel like it would be George Clooney, and people, I don't know how many people thought it would be George Clooney as well, but to me, it just made the most sense based off of everything Christian Bale has said. I was like, the one who's more likely to have fun with this is going to be George Clooney.
And that's the funniest one.
Yeah.
It's like the best use of that
Does
show
raise
being
some
comedic.
Does raise some questions.
I thought the post-credit scene kind of answered those questions.
How?
So in the post-credit scene,
I didn't answer at all.
We'll get to
Okay,
it. Hold
when-
that thought.
Get some beers.
put a pin
Hold
in it.
that thought, because Saint is saying Coy reminds me of Sean Chandler half the time.
Do the point.
Sean Chandler.
Do
Which
the-
way does he? Oh, he does the crossover
He does
point.
the cross.
Yes.
I just met him at MegaCon. That guy's delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Chandler. I like that guy.
To me, Christian Unpronounceable is saying thank you so much. Yeah, I think Flashpoint Paradox is still the best one. And it's
Oh,
exactly
movie's
like it.
so
It's also
good.
exactly like the comic. So,
They use the storyboards that are
and it
comics.
managed to be a full-length feature film. It's like, it's amazing. Christian Unpronounceable, thank you so much. Christian, to me, the "wanna get nuts" line felt very shoehorned in.
It doesn't make any sense. He says it as Bruce Wayne to the Joker, which makes sense because he's dealing with that moment and he's literally doing a commentary on him being nuts. Why would Batman? It's not a catchphrase Batman has. Why would years later, 40 years later, it's like, remember that thing I said under duress when Joker kidnapped? I'm gonna use that. What? It doesn't make sense. Hated it.
I mean, it's
Didn't love that line.
I don't mind it. It's
Pure nostalgia.
It seems so.
It didn't make sense. Why would he say it?
The
Why would he
only
quote him?
thing-
Who quotes himself except for I'm Batman?
I mean, what was the point of him going, yeah, I'm Batman? To me, that made less sense when I'm like, we learned already that he's Batman.
Because the
from
girl
him.
earlier says
Well,
I'm
'cause-
Batman because
'cause-
that's what Batman says.
Because young Barry
Yeah.
doesn't realize still.
Young Bear, no, when they're eating the
when they-
spaghetti,
yeah,
he
yeah,
says,
yeah.
"Wait, you're Batman?"
Loved that scene.
But he's still like surprised.
They're in the Batcave for a long
The
time.
thing that got me about the wanna get
this was the
nuts
cousins'
line,
dinner.
the thing, it wasn't actually the line itself. It's his following line where he's like over there at the controls and he's like, for the record, I can't remember what the line is, but he's like, for the record, I think this is insane. And I'm like, you were just down a minute ago. You literally were like, let's get nuts.
yeah,
Which is it, Keaton?
Yeah.
See, I thought
like, you're not
I-
doing this against your will.
I thought in the trailers that's when the line was going to be used.
I didn't think that actually used it.
when it's to
Oh.
when it's to get him hit with some lightning.
I thought it was a trailer moment. I didn't think it would be in the movie.
You know, it was funny. I was looking at our trailer reaction, and we caught the footage where Supergirl was carrying Flash to the sky,
Yeah.
and you said like, I wonder if he's taking him up there to get a shot because he needs more lightning.
Yeah.
And I was just like laughing about that. And then it happened in the film. I was like, oh, that's exactly what happened.
yeah, look at them go.
He does have to shock him to get his powers back, and Supergirl has to take him up there. Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I loved that moment because it was so emotionally cathartic. But if we'd had one more Sasha Calle scene, it would have been like, there's
Yeah.
just so much that could be. I want a 3-hour cut between the 2 and the 4. Muschietti cut.
Muschietti cut.
Cameron Dane Scott, he's got two $5. So run, Barry, run to the super trucks. Cameron Dane Scott, thank you for the endless hours of content. I'm going through a little canon event right now. My dog passed away last week. That fucking sucks.
Sorry, dude.
I'm sorry. John has lost a couple of dogs. We lost our family dog a few months ago. That was
Oh,
hard.
sorry,
that
that's
was
hard.
extremely hard. Was there in the room when it happened.
Oh,
And
I do too.
have you lost?
I have. My
Yeah.
childhood dog passed when my 3rd year in LA, so I was like freshly away from home, so it was really
Yeah.
hard to like not be there. And I'd gone to visit her like 6 months before, so that was kind of nice. But I like that dog slept in my bed with me throughout like from 5 to 20. So
It's hard, man. I broke it with my fiance of 6 years. Well,
I wish we
better
could.
that happens before you get married.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
it's not easy. Better it happens before marriage at every stance.
Wish we could give you a big old bear hug, all the 3 of us.
Continues to say, not every problem has a solution. You have no idea how great it has been to sit back and listen to you guys during these dark times. Thanks. Much love. Well, thank you, Cameron
Absolutely.
Dane Scott, for being here, and I hope things get better for you. It's not easy, but you can survive through turbulent times. Makes you a stronger person in the
canon
end.
event. I love that people
So,
have that
yeah.
kind of like catchphrase terminology for them to get through
Yeah.
these dark moments. I think the beauty of this movie is that not everything has a solution. I think one of the like there's thousands of beautiful things about Spider-Verse, but I do love the message of like trauma does change you and it can be for the better.
I feel like Barry doesn't fully learn that lesson.
Really?
Because he moves the camera. I'm like, dude,
He moves the cans,
he moves the cans to get him to look up, and he's still messing with time.
which is why there's George.
He literally
There's still
came
ramifications.
back,
But he's only affecting his present. He's not.
but he's still caught. But with the whole retro causal thing, if you change,
He still goes to a different timeline because George. That proves
Yeah,
that like
it's-
just the
he's-
cans
yeah,
change
he's-
Let's
something.
talk about this George thing. Okay.
George proves that.
Yeah, George proves he's
I
not back
thought
home.
George Clooney was the same same person as. Okay, let me try to understand this. I don't think this Michael Keaton is the continuation of the Tim Burton one. I feel like this is an alt universe of that happens to have the imagery of the Tim Burton one.
Yeah, variants can look alike.
I don't feel. Yeah, that's what I think's happening. So are they implying that like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are not the continuations of the Michael Keaton films? Because I thought that's what we were doing with George Clooney, with in Batman and Robin. So do you get what I'm getting
I
at?
have always thought that
Yeah.
with this explanation of time, the actor that plays Alfred, Michael Gough, being all 4 of the movie's first Alfreds, imply that Alfred is one of those crossover points in the spaghetti, that they are different universes. So Batman 1 and 2 is one universe, Kilmer's another.
Because they do put
and
an
they do-
emphasis on the Alfred.
on
yeah,
the Alfred.
Yeah.
And then in the Kilmer one,
Yes.
they do reference an event that had happened before in Michael Keaton's. But I think that was one of those incidents that happens in every universe. I think there's 2 movies,
Yes.
one in one movie, and then this is
Yeah.
another. Is my take.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Batman should shave. It's really easy to identify what Batman is when he's got a big white beard.
That's true.
Um,
Santa Man.
uh,
But can you imagine that goatee sticking out of the cowl?
It'd be beautiful.
That's what I wish we had.
Burton versus Snyder's a lot of them. But I honestly feel like George Clooney would be a fine Batman if
If they
just
do,
give
like-
him a second shot. I'd be down.
Yeah, because
I don't think anyone would be-
now's
but-
the time.
But I would be so down for it.
I would like an Adam Westy one, like a nice fun like zoinks.
I would even be down for him to return in From Dusk Till Dawn, one of those like old man
Sure.
Seth Gecko's kind of sequels. I think
Sure.
that'd be cool too.
Batman Beyond George Clooney.
That'd be
That
excellent.
would be great.
Him
That'd be
behind the
excellent.
chair,
I
just
think that would
like
be excellent. I'm
Ocean's
not
11
joking.
in his way through stuff. I'd love that charming voice.
Well, and I bet he could have his Ben Affleck moment of like, this is what taught
Yeah.
me really how to play Bruce
I
Wayne.
would love that.
Saint is saying, I think I like Zod more in Man of Steel. Oh, absolutely. He doesn't feel the same here. In fact, I had to question a tiny bit where he was having certain moments that came in so late into the film. And I was like, wait, I thought Michael Shannon returned. Because are they just repurposing him? Because he looks fake.
That
Did they scan him?
friggin' mask, man. It makes him look all plastic.
It was when he was having his interaction with Kara. I was like, oh, yeah, no, this isn't Man of Steel. Yeah, okay. So this is definitely all new.
I used
Look,
to-
he's
that's
talking.
what I
These are new
wanted.
words, so it must
I
be.
had to question it. Yeah.
That's so funny that you're
Yeah.
like, oh no, this is really him. He should have.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I definitely felt like he wanted more out of the role because he's talked very openly about not being happy with like what he
Yeah.
got. But I also think that like when you put this many things in a movie and it's not 4 hours,
Why didn't he follow Supergirl? See,
That
stu-
drove me crazy.
Stuff like that didn't hit my noggin until the second viewing, where these like little things. After a while, like little thing on the. Here's what happened. First viewing, little things moved past. I'm having fun. Second viewing, these little things start really stacking up, and to the point where I'm like, now I'm just seeing a big list of things. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened for me, you know. But I mean, a lot of us said like I have fun, and like watching it. Also, the way the visuals translate on an IMAX format is gorgeous. It's
so
it's
pretty.
really gorgeous. It's kind of crazy how some movies now like have this necessitation to see on IMAX, and I'm like, I think there's got to be a little bit of a line with cinema now where not every movie should need. Like we saw Spider-Verse on a regular screen,
yeah, and it was
and
stunning.
it was still gorgeous.
Yeah, that movie is too pretty.
It's better on IMAX, but it didn't need IMAX.
Right.
I'm
You know, but
curious.
there's a lot of movies now where you're like, well, you
I should
need
probably,
IMAX.
like, you know,
you have to see this on IMAX.
like
to
Oppenheimer?
appreciate it, yeah.
So the effects held up on IMAX?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because I've
actually.
seen, I've seen movies where IMAX actually kind of hurts the.
Oh, when the
effects.
CGI is like stretched
like
or like pixelated.
Quantumania was way better on a less good screen, and I saw it last night. This movie on a less good screen and had like a slightly better time with that stuff.
Oh, that's
so,
funny.
Wait,
so I was curious.
gents, we got ourselves.
Whoa.
Wait, everyone, wait for it. Wait
Oh.
for it.
I love his name.
Oh,
Oh, but once we get to a 15, you'll hear the other one.
I love the name.
I don't remember what my audio was that I created for this. Holy shit, that super chat's huge.
We can hear the big one.
Did you
Yes.
guys hear it?
I hope we all did. That was great.
yes,
Great soundbite.
yes.
Excellent work. I liked it.
We have no response. 30 seconds
Guys,
delays.
It's gonna catch up.
I
If
mean,
you weren't
they
able to
heard
hear
it.
it-
It played.
Alrighty.
Verify, damn it, people.
Someone.
Okay.
Oh, someone's
There's
laughing.
some laughs.
The antagonist of the film is time and consequences. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think thematically that works. At the same time, I think it kind of loses a tad bit of its emotional heft and focus on that. It gets a little muddied in there because they're like rescue, we got to find Batman, we got to rescue Supergirl, then we got to fight Zod. So that is the real antagonist. That's why I think the Speed Force finale, despite the fact that I didn't really feel like this multiverse collision was something they were really setting up, but I feel like we've seen so many multiverse things that you're like, yeah,
They gotta collide
Yeah,
at
that's
some
what
point.
That's what happens in these.
Is that
Yeah.
not what things do?
I still really felt the drama of that and the gravitas of that, especially when you see that young Barry, who is more ego. What I thought they did really well with, and I feel like this is where I kind of debate with some people, is young Barry. He just becomes like so stern fast in the way like we got to do this. We got like because our Flash did not have a mentor. He did not have a guide
Right.
to this, and this young Barry who's already just so much more privileged and spoiled
Yeah.
and arrogant and obnoxious and is getting these powers and is getting a quick handle on them, especially because he has the fact that he gets mentored. And then he just gets the best of it. He's like, I just got to, no, I can't deal with this. I don't know how to process it. We got to go. We got to fix this. So I actually really liked that whole Speed Force scene where he is just going back in time constantly, and he's not learning his lesson.
One more time, I can fix this.
So much to the point that he has to see what he becomes in order to stop it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that it's a man versus self story at its core, and consequences are, like you said, the true crux of what our reality is. Our reality.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that we have young Barry, who, like you said, is more entitled, who is a little bit more like, I can do whatever I want. I don't have this loss. And we have our Barry, the regular one that lost everything, having to mature. But what I really love about that third Barry is not only did he feel like he could do anything because he didn't have that realization, but the person that he started as matured because of our Barry. So therefore, when he gets killed by himself, that maturation hadn't and wouldn't have occurred, causing that paradox that negates everything. And I think that's a really beautiful message of almost your Uncle Ben scenario. So he had to have a mentor in some way, whether that's loss, whether that's a canon event, whether that's a mentor, but he had to have that thing in order to become the hero that he was meant to become, and that negates him becoming a villain. I think that's a really beautiful message of, these are three ways your life can go, and one thing can change everything.
Exactly.
And that story is genius. It just had a lot of stuff around it.
Yeah. So as we continue to read this off, John, you want to read off the rest of that?
Yeah, Zod, Dark Flash, the Russians, they're there for action and tension, but this movie doesn't work that way while I watched it. It was a bit more personal, surprisingly, with all the added cast members. Yeah, I like, there's so many ways to look at this, and I do think that, yeah, you're right. It's like, it's not necessarily about these figures so much as it is about what kind of emotional conflicts or how they exacerbate this entire mess that, you know, Barry has created here. But yeah, it's like it's a bunch of big stakes that are also like really referential, and I think that just pulls your attention around, sort of, because there are also just like a lot of really great small moments within that time and consequences theme. And I love too, like, you even get
Eric
that little
Stoltz.
flourish of Eric Stoltz, yeah. And like I love that you have Barry looking at himself and he like snaps at himself, and then also has that realization of, like, I've talked to people in life who have like met younger people and then gone, oh, I can see myself now, and I can see what people have been saying to me, and now this all hits so much harder. And I love that they included that in this.
I also feel like it's a commentary on how the fans reacted to Ezra's Flash. Like,
Sure.
the first movie, he's a lot, and I feel like having him mature was a great reaction to the audience wanting Barry Allen to. This Barry is a step closer to the Barry Allen of the comics. He's still not there, but it's closer.
Yeah. You
I
mean
liked
the Barry that we follow.
Mature Barry
Yeah.
is closer to comic Barry than original Barry, and I like that that's all on screen.
Yeah, I think when the movie I'm a much bigger fan of everything outside of, like, even when the scene when he's like discovering that there's no metahumans and stuff, like, I find that really tense. And while I think Batman's a lot of fun in this movie, and Michael Keaton's Batman, and I really liked Sasha Calle's presence in here. And I like the final fight battle, which I think
needle drop was so good.
A lot of shit.
White Stripes, Raconteurs. Who's that?
Raconteurs,
Raconteurs,
yeah.
such a good needle drop.
It gets
They thanked Jack, so I think he gave them stems to just completely remix the song.
that final fight gets a lot of crap, I've noticed. But I think that, you know, like, Zod killing them off was great. I like Batman's action scenes. Does he get like I don't know if his death is like super impactful, but whatever. That still hit enough for me in that moment.
That had Larry Schmick as a Superman.
And I like I like when him and the two Barrys are working together. I think that's really fun. At that point, I've already been seeing past so much whatever. Like, there's a lot of complaints about the CGI, and I get it. Like, it's not the greatest. For some reason, I'm able to really look past it. And in that final fight, I was definitely able to really look past it.
I like the final fight a lot more
There's
the second time. The first time, that was when my brain started to liquefy, and the second time I was like, this is actually really cool.
But what I'm trying to say is that my favorite portions of this movie were everything with the actual story of the emotional core of what Barry's going through, which this movie is really focused on in the first 20 to 30, like before Batman, pretty much like before Batman. You kind of lose sight of that once Batman's there. And then when everyone starts dying is when they really starts bringing it back around to that. Like, they talk a little bit here, like the whole thing with the monkey. They have that scene there with the two berries with the monkey. and then but when it's really focused on that is when this movie really sings. So it's like good emotional core, and then the other stuff is like fun candy. You know?
Totally.
I want to say a quick thing about the ending. I think
Please.
that it did a really beautiful third act DC ending. Like the DC movies have that type of ending. That is the big superhero ending. But three things I think it really enhanced on that was one, it was like an artist jam page, which is like when different artists like, Greg Capullo and Jim Lee are painting the same page or penciling, and you see the different styles. It felt like Burton meets Muschietti's Flash meets Zack Snyder's universe, and I really love that the three directing styles.
Yeah.
Muschietti was able to do like a jazz piece with the third act, and then it also all the orange and blue that is Zack Snyder. They gave it a reason with canon. They gave blue and orange the power sets for Flash. They were able to use those colors in a way that actually made sense instead of just visually aesthetically. And I like that in the Zack Snyder world, Batman is so paranoid of the Kryptonians because they feel like they're alien invaders. I love that Batman gets killed by a Kryptonian. I thought that was genius. So, like, those three things really sung for me.
That's a great point. That highlights it even more. Yeah, that's.
I feel like nobody's talking about that. You get killed by Kryptonians.
That really highlights more. So, I do want to point this out in the chat really, really quick. Just spend like 30 seconds on it. I won Pierce 03. You noticed it on the second viewing. The homeless guy who, when young Barry's first getting his powers, and he still was a pizza or hot dog.
It was pizza.
All right, he gets a hot dog from
Muschietti has the hot dog.
Yeah.
So he takes the pizza from the guy, and then because at the premiere,
Because we talked to him at the premiere, and like we were like, why is he here?
He's in he was in the thank yous in the credits, and I was like,
so
why is
funny.
he in the thank yous?
well, yeah, I mean, he's in the movie Mama, which Andy Muschietti directed.
Well, and Bill Skarsgård was there, and so was
Yeah.
like a bunch of the
I saw Bill
Muschietti
Skarsgård.
folk.
I saw Bill Skarsgård. I was like, oh shit, Bill Skarsgård. I
Dude,
didn't recognize. I was walking out of the theater. I, was
I
like,
had to thank Jessica Chastain for her work on Molly's Game because it's so good, and I was like, oh right, they're friends. But like, it was cool to see all the friends supporting
you
Muschietti.
forget how many friends he made with that one movie, Mama.
Well, and he's so
That movie's a
talented.
catapult. Yeah.
And
Muschietti's
Mama's
so good.
Mama's
as-
a really good movie too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that like actors know when they find a good director, and I love seeing that support.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, whatever the response to this movie overall and the financials and whatnot, I'm excited for more Andy Muschietti joints still. You know.
Batman, Brave
Yeah.
and Bold.
Yeah, I'm
Which
looking
we're
forward to
talking
that.
about right now. Good transition, John.
Ooh.
Satvik Mohanty is saying, "What's your take on Muschietti for Brave and the Bold?" I think he won't have any issues with the action. I really feel like with Muschietti, he's had this interesting transition where he went from, like became more popular with Mama, really popular with it. So we kind of knew him as the horror guy.
Yeah.
And he's done Flash, which has like almost no horror.
Very light.
and then seeing him at like the premiere and seeing how he interacts with people, he's a really silly guy.
We sent you a
He's,
video.
he's a very, very goofy guy. And there's the way he just talks about things and people, like he's very playful with and then some of the earmarks and sensibility choices of It Chapter 2 that kind of rub people, myself included, the wrong way. I'm like, oh, this feels like Muschietti's personality. to
When
me.
you meet him, it makes sense.
It started making more sense. Yeah. It started making a lot more sense to me. Even I was like watching him interact. I was like, oh, some of those It Chapter 2 choices suddenly like make a lot more sense to me.
He's also truly one of us, and I don't feel like that it gets talked about enough. I feel like we talk about James Gunn being a comic nerd. We talk about certain people loving these characters. Muschietti and I talked about a bunch of comics at the premiere after party. We literally broke down different arcs and things, and I'm not going to tell you which ones because I don't know what that affects, but it was really beautiful to know that he loves certain arcs that I love, and I was able to give him a couple recommendations, so I'm really hoping that like the way he is passionate about all this now, I think that's forever. I think that like him and James Gunn are working together for the passion of it. And I think that his cheekiness will suit the Damian Wayne Bruce Wayne because Damian Wayne, like John and I have fallen in love with this take on Damian Wayne in the animated movies because it allows Bruce to not be so stoic. It allows a little bit of that fun that Muschietti is. So I think him directing a family man Bruce, and I think him getting to be that playful guy that he is. Like we literally sent Greg a video like 1 a.m. because Andy is a guy that like likes to interact with fans to the scale of like, let's be joyous about loving Batman at 1 a.m. That's like so unique in the film space. You make a movie and you're like, okay, we're done. He's like, let's talk about it all night.
Well,
and I love that man.
I feel like Brave and Bold will be more focused. It's just Batman and Damian Wayne, so it's gonna be more focused. And I feel like James Gunn is really good at finding what a person's strengths are and letting them hone in on that. He got to get his feet wet with the Flash. I think that he'll probably do a better job with Brave and Bold.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm excited for it because no matter what, family man Bruce.
I'm actually really excited for him to take on the Brave and the Bold, just because really quick. I know I described this as like being better looking at it as a comedy up top, but I really do appreciate like the fun comic book, imaginative side of this Flash movie, and I do feel like with Muschietti we can get a Batman movie that is both comic book kind of fun in an appropriate way, but that will also pull some of those horror aesthetics and some of those darker aesthetics. Like, I think it'll be a really nice kind of blend of what he's clearly capable of in a big blockbuster superhero space, but also with the, dark stuff.
Couldn't disagree more. All righty, let's see here. Tucker Wood.
Yes.
Tucker Wood.
Tuck it in.
Let's do this, Tucker Wood. Run to the super chats. Yeah.
We can hear it.
Yeah, buddy. We got there eventually. We got there.
Wish there was a way I could I'll figure it out later. Tucker Wood. If there's a different Batman Clooney at the end, wouldn't that mean this is also a separate universe and there should be another Barry as well? And if so, where was he? Why wasn't he out of court? It's spaghetti. That's how they've explained it.
Because
Everything
Barry
is
always
spaghetti.
left and always came back.
But someone's theorizing, a lot of theories are going that he actually landed in a completely different universe this time with Batman, with this George Clooney one.
The more I think about how this orb representation of the universes is, the more questions I have, although I do quite enjoy it. But it does seem, I guess, almost like every kind of likeness that is one particular person is sort of confined to a particular orb. So I'm a little confused as to the mechanics, but it felt like he at least created another alternate timeline that just has all the same events up until right now.
I feel like Coy explained it pretty well earlier.
Yeah. Also, how does memory work in this thing? Because I feel like, you would also remember if he was always Clooney all of a sudden.
So you'd have your timeline's memories, because when you change space-time, you're only changing the space you're in, not the time you're in. So your memories would still be linear because you've lived that time. You've only changed space. So your memories would not suddenly incept yourself, because otherwise that would be changing both space and time, which isn't how they explain the chronal
not loop.
effect.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. Beautiful.
The movie answers questions, Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg.
I'm just, earlier you were like, this is this is this.
Oh, but those times you were.
No, I was totally making it up. And this time I might have been too. No, I'm making fun of myself because I'm just making things up. I just think those were ... dots.
All right, let's go
Corey's
here.
got 2.
Run, Barry,
Run to the super chats. This is the $10.
John's got a good Barry run.
Yeah, man.
You've been practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. This is graceful.
So that's how he dances too.
Yeah.
Thought the movie was mostly good. Love the stuff to do with Barry and his mom. One of my biggest gripes was the CGI throughout the entire film, especially the VFX. Used to have 2 Barrys. And then we got to find your second one. You said 2. Really quick.
Oh,
We're
2
not skipping any ones.
2 out
Don't
of
worry.
3. All right.
Is it the second one?
Yeah.
Okay. My other problem. Oh my God! Wait. He did. If he did 3.
Whoa.
Whoa. We got an upgrade. This is for the 15s and up.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
With super chats.
These are good, Greg. These are good.
Beautiful.
CGI cameos instead of John Wesley Shipp or Grant Gustin. I think Grant Gustin would have hit harder than anything else. We get a generic Jay Garrick and multiple Batman and Superman who are. That's what I mean. They're just. I agree with you. That really doesn't do any. The Nick Cage one, I think, in honor of John, especially
we're
like
close
with
to
John
it.
Schnapp and all that. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons
So
to love that,
excited.
and then that never came to fruition. So to me, I like that more than even the Christopher Reeves one or the Adam West appearance, because that didn't actually come to life. So it's cool to see that happen. It is neat. What I like about the effect, similar to like what happens with George Clooney and even Supergirl, I forget who played her in the Christopher Reeves universe.
Alan Slater?
Yeah, is like both are hated. Both are hated. But there's something about seeing them recognized where you're like,
Yes. We can be chill about this now. We've
Yeah.
had other iterations.
She was
It has
also at
that
the
effect.
premiere, and that was cool to see her get her flowers. Like,
Oh,
she
really?
actually, she got introduced with the cast.
It's
she
like
came out.
It's like a smaller. Talk about spoil. It's like a smaller. it's like a smaller way of how like Andrew Garfield must have felt with like, oh, people did like my Spider-Man.
Thanks, guys.
You know, and so yeah, and then we gotta find. Hold on.
I've got a thing on that as well.
Where is it?
You got it?
Okay, here it is. Yeah. Okay. Oh, let me just pull it up here.
I did
And
think
then the Spider-Verse movies had more love for Spider-Man than this movie had for the Flash as a character. Well,
it does seem kind of like
the thing is, the Spider-Verse movies have the ability of so much Spider-Man to riff on everything we know about Spider-Man, where here the Flash is just not as well known.
this did
Yeah.
feel like it had love for the Flash,
But I think
yeah,
for
it is,
sure.
it is spreading the love around for other characters. I am curious as to what people think because you have like Christopher Reeve, which people seem pretty excited about, but you have Christopher Reeve, which is one thing, but you also have George Reeves, who has like a difficult history with the character.
Dude, yeah, when I saw that, like, I don't know if people
Yeah.
realize, but George Reeve, like, might have killed himself because of the character. To see him come back to play the character felt like digging up a grave twice. But I thought the Nicolas Cage one was, shameless name drop. Kevin Smith was at the premiere, and I had known about that moment. And when we were talking to Kevin before the movie, he's like, "Hey, what did you think? Oh my god!" Because he knows how much I was excited for this. And he was like, "What do you think? I'll think." And like the amount of willpower it took not to tell that man that his moment that has caused so many ramifications. Like John Peters is now known as the spider
big
guy,
spider guy.
and also like they even put it in that PTA movie where Bradley Cooper plays him. And one of Kevin Smith's quotes about John Peters is something Bradley Cooper says. Like, so Kevin Smith has caused these ripples throughout time and space. So to see that spider, I feel like honestly that was Muschietti not only giving a great Easter egg in the movie, but it felt like an industry moment. It felt like the Eric Stoltz joke was like, if you guys know time travel jokes. And it felt like the spider joke was like, if you're a deep cut nerd. There were so many moments that felt like layers of Easter egg that I really liked the conceptual delivery more than the actual visual, because I'm with Greg where if it looks like this uncanny valley, I don't connect to it emotionally, but I got to go like, oh, a turducken of references. That's delightful. So I agree with you with what you're saying, but I think me personally, I got more out of it because of my connection to Kevin and the industry and John, obviously.
Yeah, why didn't the Supermen try to do anything? Why were they just watching stuff happen? Huh?
And why was
Ask
there
yourself that
only one?
question.
And why was there only one?
Why did he take his
one
face
Flash?
off?
Yeah.
James Stevens. Hey, James.
Hey.
Just joined. I know this isn't related to The Flash. Enjoyed the film and Daddy Clooney. Curious if you guys would consider reacting to Succession. I think that's a show I'm just going to watch on my own time.
Never seen it.
honestly. I've heard great things
Heard
about
great
it.
things.
I've heard it's amazing. Did it just end?
Long
It
live
just
Sarah
ended.
Snook.
Definitely not going to react to it.
By the time we finish, it'll be irrelevant.
appreciate
Sorry.
the intrigue on that. Thank you so much.
Joe Coughlin.
Speaking of how many times must we remind Eric Stoltz about the gig he lost? That's hilarious.
Oh,
That is true.
Poor Eric. Stoltz.
Freaking loser.
Marty McFly.
Wait, is he alive?
I think so.
Yeah, loser.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz.
To my
you watch
knowledge.
this.
Just joking.
Marty McThigh, boy.
Freaking who lost to Wolverine?
Oh, Russell Crowe.
No. The guy who's in MI2.
Douglas Scott.
Oh,
Yeah,
Duke
yeah,
Ray
yeah.
Scott.
Freaking loser.
Yeah. What do you do it now, Duke Ray?
That bastard down.
Don't worry, they'll bring him back
Huh?
for Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Do you know the reason Russell Crowe passed and recommended Hugh Jackman? It's
Yeah.
my favorite Hollywood thing. It's like literally top 5, like most ridiculous. Russell Crowe had just done Gladiator. When you think about the movie Gladiator, do you think wolves? Me neither. Apparently, his like spirit animal or whatever the more appropriate title for that thing is now in culture is a wolf, and they has like a scene with a wolf. And Russell Crowe had just done Gladiator, which had a wolf in it, so he thought Wolverines were wolves, and he's like, I don't want to be known as the wolf guy. I'm not going to play Wolverine.
Similar reason why he passed on Aragorn. He did. It was because he just did Gladiator. He didn't want to be typecast in that. Now he's doing the Pope's Exorcist.
I was going to say that, Aisha. Kevin Smith is the nexus being of our universe.
He really is. He's Stanley, and Mallrats and Stanley and Captain Marvel means all the USQ movies are canon in Marvel.
Joe Coughlin. 85% of the movie, I was at a solid 6 out of 10. Then we got Nick Cage. Superman bumped it up to a solid 9. That's what happens when you get a little cameo in there.
Hit the thing.
Oh my God,
thing.
you're right. Okay, what are we
We
at?
got a tenor. We got a tenor.
Run, Barry,
Run to the super chats.
Then we got Nick Cage Superman. Also thoughts on who Batman could be in Batman and the Brave and the Bold to keep up the great work.
Nicolas Cage.
God, who would? I think Clooney would be a good Batman Beyond one. I think it would confuse people though. I think
100%.
people would think it's the fucking like, oh, this is continuing from Batman and Robin. I think it would really confuse. And let's face it, DC's having a really hard time at the box office lately.
They need a clean
Blue
slate.
Beetle's
Yeah.
gonna save it.
So that I don't know. I haven't really. I mean, look, I'm as big
Holt
a fan.
McCallany.
Big fan of the Jensen
he's the
Ackles
thing.
choice. I'm a big fan of the Jensen Ackles choice. I think that would be really awesome casting. Honestly, I think he could pull it off really well.
I like Jensen Ackles. I like Milo Ventimiglia. I like Jakey Jakes. It's unlikely, but I think Jake Gyllenhaal would crush Bruce Wayne and a paternal Batman
I want-
and be dark and brooding.
Jake Busey.
Yeah.
Yes. Bruce Wayne.
The only problem is you'd recognize him as soon as he smiles.
Yeah.
Who's Bruce Wayne? I don't know.
That creep.
He'd be a good Joker, though.
Sure. Oh my God. Yeah.
But
Give
yeah,
me, like-
those are my big three.
Nice. Good picks. All righty, here we go. Hold on 1 second, guys. Just got to get readjusted.
Also, George Clooney is not going to be the Batman in the Brave and the Bold because that ending implies that he's in another universe, therefore allowing the cake and eat it too of either bringing Ezra back or not. So that is a separate universe by the canon of the movie itself. That's not saying that that's Gunn's
Ezra's coming back already.
Hold on, guys. We're so far in the stream.
It's
You're
gonna
just
be a
going to watch me
6-picture
refresh
deal.
it just to check. Just
Ooh.
checking things to make sure we are staying on track today.
And Bam Pow Bang is not Matt Reeves' Batman because that's staying in Elseworld along with Joker because that's going to stay a more serious tone. It wouldn't work if that interacted with the greater Justice League movies.
I found myself just thinking about the Batman.
I can't wait for the Batman.
The
Today?
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Just
about the
woke up
Batman.
like, man, the
I
Batman.
just couldn't stop
Dun,
thinking about
dun,
specifically
dun,
the
dun.
Batman.
I've been making a video series on TikTok and YouTube of like if you liked this, read this, and they're doing well. But the Batman one was my most fun because I think the tone of Matt Reeves is the closest to the comics I like of Batman. So I really am
Yeah.
excited for the way they're keeping them separate.
Let's see here. Chris Pine is Batman. You make him funny.
Yeah.
I like Chris
He's so
Pine.
charming,
much.
dude.
I just
Dungeons and
love
Dragons.
Chris
You seen it
Pine.
yet?
I could kind of see if he wasn't
Yeah, the
so high
reaction to it on the
profile. I
channel.
could kinda see
Oh.
it.
Coy does not keep up with anything. We do.
You have like all these movies, and I try to keep up.
We do so many less videos. Mobius should have showed up. That would have been awesome. Alrighty,
Something
we
to
got
do
some
with
Stream
Spider-Man.
Labs. Stream Labs are awesome. They
Woo.
take less fees from
Get that
YouTube.
sound effect.
And considering that we just had Super Mario blocked again by Universal, the same video, no re-edits, the same video. I was like, that's the most.
Third time's a charm.
It's like, okay, sure, why not?
They're struggling all of a sudden.
It's weird when you appeal something and then they go, all right, it's fine, and then go, you know what? We changed our mind.
Unappealed.
You know
We're
what?
gonna block you
We
again.
just put Fast X out on demand. We need to recoup this somehow.
Let's see here. Jaden Stevens. Hey guys.
OP Blake, actually.
Nope, wrong one. You're right, John. My
Sorry.
bad.
I mean, not to not honor,
No.
you know,
You're
a
right,
previous
you're right.
stream.
I messed up. OP Blake with the 10.
Run, Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
The death of Barry's mom seemed targeted, and it seemed like they had planned on killing her already. There was a government conspiracy to create the Flash. So I don't get why his dad staying home actually changed whether or not she died. Maybe not that same day, but I feel like she would have died regardless.
There's a deleted scene confirmed where Ron Livingston beats the shit out of Reverse Flash.
And why would he? What would be the motive in killing his wife?
So Reverse Flash in the comics
I'm
is
talking about the dad. Why was the
Oh.
dad convicted? I don't feel like they did enough justification for why the dad was convicted.
I mean like he was the only one on the scene.
No, man.
It's always the husband.
And no
No.
one
I've
else
seen
lives in their
CSI.
neighborhood?
You need a motive.
CSI man, it's always the husband. That's why. Ice-T comes in. He's like sucker. That's it.
You need
That's the whole
motive.
thing.
He was mad because he had to go get a can of tomatoes.
I hate her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he showed back up and just stabbed her with a can.
Al Dante.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean we know the Reverse Flash. He wanted to create Flash. Yeah.
And that's why with Barry's dad there, it wouldn't have worked because I think I've always seen it as the mom dying is doubly bad because then the dad sitting in prison makes it a longer pain. Like if the dad dies too, they're gone. Whereas like dad's in jail and then mom's dead, that's a perpetual. So I think with the mom has to be alone.
They must have cut out a thing about him discovering that it was like a reverse flash, or didn't know it was reverse flash. The way the show did it too, you know, we're like, what is that little fuzzy yellow thing? So they must have cut that out because it just really raises a question of like this guy would have checked. He would have checked to see
Yeah.
who killed his mom.
Yeah.
He has the ability to just speed by and go, hey, that person, right there,
Keep a
that
lookout
person.
for him.
Yeah.
The mailman?
Let's see here. Sammy Boy. Sammy Boy's got, let's see, where are we at? Sammy Boy's got, if you were going to read through them really quick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Coy, do your speed reading.
Love how we get a soft origin story of Flash. We see how Barry would have probably acted using his powers for the first time. Also love that BVS and Flash have a ground perspective of the fight of Zod and Superman as their version of the Battle of New York.
Okay.
Well done, sir.
I did like seeing. Oh yeah. Okay. There's one thing I do like about the Man of Steel stuff. It is seeing when Barry had his like shitty suit makeshift one he put together, and then I thought they were gonna bring that around again.
One scene
with saving. I didn't know if it'd be like save the exact same dad or some shit, but I thought they were gonna bring that around with saving someone.
That kid and his dad come back. They just don't get credit.
But they don't get
Yeah, it's just like, oh, different rebels, so they're fine.
But I think that was to emphasize the point of how much it's gonna bother new Barry when he can't save Ezra, when he can't save Batman and Supergirl. I think that was the purpose of that. But I still thought it would come around in a different way for our Barry.
I also like the line, like, you just save one. That's a Superman line. So I like that Flash learned from Superman because they have a lot of interactions in the Justice League. So there's like this classic,
Batman says
technically in the
Justice
League movie,
it's Batman. Apologies,
Save
I meant
one
Batman.
life.
There it is. But that's what I thought was a
Joss
cool.
Whedon's line.
Yeah.
It's a good line, as bad as the movie is.
No.
We cannot give credit to Joss Whedon for any singular thing.
Yeah.
Not even Astonishing X-Men.
Also, somebody in the chat said Johnny Depp Batman, which I don't want, but would be fascinating.
So Sammy Boy had 2 here, right? Yeah, and then
just do a quick
Where's
Johnny
the other
Depp as Batman.
there's no time, John.
Oh.
Love it with this movie and the Crisis event. Almost every property has been acknowledged and revisited. I heard people saw multiple endings on screenings before release. Were there any changes to yours?
No, we saw the final version.
Yeah.
We went to the Collider fan screening, and that was the first
Completed
screening
one.
of the complete one, right?
Yeah. So we saw with the
Yeah.
ending and with the post-credit scene.
With John Watts sitting in the back row.
Yeah, John Watts right
What?
behind us.
Yeah.
How about the primo?
He saw the other multiverse movie. He didn't make it. I love that No Way Home is like Flashpoint and like John Watts is behind us. So I was like, we're in the multiverse.
He's like, I just make sure he did it better. Did it better? Shakier. John, read it fast. Speed read.
As a DC fan, I got all the cameos, but I think if you're going to do this, why not give some love to Arrowverse, Dark Knight, the Batman, things fresh in people's minds? Heck, the king of cameos, Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern, would have been fun.
Great reading, great point.
They will acknowledge the Arrowverse in like 20 years.
When it's not what people really, really want.
Yeah,
When it's nostalgia,
and
not
it's-
present.
And not when they're canceling and ending like all of the Arrowverse.
Do you see what
Yeah.
Stephen Amell said?
What?
They asked him if he'd come back. He's like, well, the way I see it right now, they need them more than they need us more than we need them. And I was like, damn, Stephen Amell
Woof, dude.
came out as Arrow himself.
I mean, he's got he loves his wrestling. He's got the wrestling attitude.
He does.
Also,
And
I heard he's a tough guy. I've heard some stories about.
dude, he can
Stephen-
actually do the salmon ladder.
I've heard some behind the scenes stories about Stephen Amell.
He's a badass.
He's a tough guy.
I know his cousin Robbie,
I
and
would
like
not wanna-
Steven's hardcore.
Would not want to get on his bad side. Needless to say.
Yeah, that salmon ladder's no joke.
Votion in the chat says Skeet Ulrich is DCU Batman.
All right, here we
Also
go.
not bad.
Oh, and then Shakir also said, where is it? Shakir also said, Coy and John, have you seen RRR? If you did, what are your quick thoughts? If not, you should. It was a mind-blowing experience. Back to Flash. I found the CCPD cast a bit over the top. Goes to the same friend group later as if they came from another film. Yeah, they were whatever.
It was a fun scene, but
Kind of fun.
I have seen RRR. I liked it, but I did not have the revelatory experience a lot of people shared with me that it was going to change my
Yeah.
life. I did like it. I reviewed it on my show, Koicast, like my podcast, and I personally found it to be a very good movie. I think a lot like Flash, I was told like Christ would come back and hand me a Trisket, and he didn't, so I was like, what the hell?
But, whoa, wait, what were we just talking about?
RRR, The Flash, Michael Keaton.
Oh, I love the line of Top Gun with the gay guys.
Oh, so good.
With the gay guys playing volleyball.
They
or
just
something,
accept
right?
that it's
Just
canon.
listen.
Well, because like arguably, if you had Kevin Bacon in it, it might have been more
Kevin
open
Bacon.
about its gayness. Because I think Tom Cruise
Oh,
didn't want it to be
yeah.
as gay because they toned down the gayness in the sequel. So I feel like if it was Kevin Bacon, it might be gayer, which is impressive because Top Gun's pretty gay.
Kevin
Okay.
Bacon.
I feel like
Love
there's-
them, but
Who
little guy.
did I miss? There's someone here. Okay, right here. Sharma. Making sure I got it. Yeah. The twist at the end was consistent because it would have been a big plot hole otherwise. Yes. The fact that he still changed something with the camera. Yes. Was understandable why, but he showed he learned nothing. So
Yeah.
the fact that there were changes at the end was satisfying.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that.
No, but like the main thing was he still needed his mom to die. but he's not changing the events that came before his present time.
Yes,
So
he is. Yes, he is. He's changing where the cans are, and thus changing where his dad pointed his head.
But that doesn't affect anything until the present because the technology isn't established till like say it's
Yeah, but of
2023.
Of course, that's going to change something.
Something.
Once you get to that point.
Yeah, but not until then is what I'm saying.
What thing would it change?
Well, that's why you have
But
George.
that's Batman says anything you change is retrocausal, so it can change things in the past and the future. So I'm like, if you change anything,
Well, that's why there's the consequence of
George.
Clooney.
yeah, I'm just saying I'm kind of confused as to why Barry did that because he just learned why you shouldn't do that and how much you can affect the past as well as the future.
It's because the main thing he wanted was just to get his dad out of prison.
I get why he did it, but I think it does negate the lesson being learned.
I think he learned the
Because
wrong
he
lesson.
chooses to do it. It's not like it's an accident or something.
There's two very drastically different emotional associations with the lessons, though. One is your mom fucking dies.
Yeah.
The other is after my dad has been serving like decades in prison, he can finally get out of prison.
I know, but you're
it's
still
very
changing the
like
past.
He has to. Yeah, but it doesn't have the same consequences or ripple. Like they're much less.
But
aren't they?
I feel like the lesson learned is you should assume there will be consequences. You shouldn't be surprised when George Clooney shows up then.
I think he thought the consequence would only occur if you interact with someone because he kept repeating like no interactivity, no interactivity. He kept repeating like the person. So I think the lesson wasn't learned in the right direction. That he shouldn't have done anything. But in doing that small thing, now if there's a sequel, it would be establishing like not even that something small.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's where he started in the first place. Was I'm just going to put the can in the cart. That's something small. I don't have to talk to anybody. And sure, he does.
Sure.
But it's still just as small
mean,
of a thing.
He still learned that he has to let go and accept what happened to his mom, which is something he has been able to do this whole time.
True. I just think that he doesn't
I think
also
he learns
accept
a
what
lesson.
happens to his dad. I think
And there's no no lives are lost or gained.
And a smaller risk. Yeah, I think it's a smaller risk of a thing because there's literally and because of the footage not being available until a certain amount of time, it doesn't change 20 years worth of stuff. It changes the present, which is a smaller.
Technology had to fix that.
So to me, it worked that
Don't
it was
worry,
a smaller.
You got this one person.
It's just, I don't know. The retrocausal thing it seems like a big risk to me, just because it seems like you could mess up the past as well as get your desired future effect.
Yeah, because they do explain that clearly.
I get it.
I
It's
see
more
both.
precise. I understand that the reasoning is better, but I'm also like,
There.
the way it's communicated, I'm like, well, you just can't change anything
Patrick's with you too.
without completely
There you
changing
go,
the
John.
timeline.
There you go.
I think it's about split.
That's
people,
all I
people
want.
There you go.
That's
Yeah,
all I
we
want.
Got a couple people.
That's all I don't even believe this point. I just wanted people to agree with me. It's good to feel agreed with. But good. I'm glad that worked better for you guys.
All right.
Happy. That's good.
No, we got this, guys.
You're
All right.
so
Keep us on
money,
track.
baby. Ryan Phillippe as Gunn's Batman. Interesting call.
Aubrey Plaza's Catwoman is a great idea.
Ooh,
I love her so
so
much.
hot.
Just
so,
any
so
time.
detached.
Any
as
movie she can be in, I am there.
Brad Pitt, Superman, just the deadest pan Catwoman.
Yeah, our current choices change our past of that multiverse. Like the current choice, it's
Yeah.
retrocausal. That's why Bruce was older. It's not the butterfly effect. It impacts in all directions because it's a multiverse.
Yeah, and he even says like more than just the past. Yeah, just multiple directions.
We can't gang up on Johnny. Get sensitive.
I'm great.
John's agreeing with us
I'm good.
for now.
And people, I got the chat on my side for once. I can levy them against you. Attack chat. Do my bidding.
Jonah Hill as Superman. That's a Ted 2 joke.
That is a good tattoo
Yeah.
joke. All
Ted
right.
2.
Ted
All
2.
right. Let me adjust this. One
Ooh.
second. 1 second.
I like that he lived across the street from Grayson's. That was nice.
Yeah, I like that too.
Snacks in cinema. A whole CGI budget went into that Nick Cage fight. It was a cool fight. At least they had him have a cool fight. That's what made it more
Yeah.
rewarding instead of just have them turn and look. I did like that Nick Cage fight.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the spider. It had to be explained to me all over again. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I was like, 'cause I saw you like going, ha ha ha, doing your thing.
They hadn't even
Uh,
shown Nick Cage yet, and I was already losing my
like, I
mind.
don't know what that means.
Why is
but I
Coy so
totally
excited about a
forgot.
spider?
Yeah, when I
didn't
saw
get
his
it.
hair, I was like, they're not gonna, are they? Oh my god, they did it!
Yeah.
Like I was overjoyed in that moment. Did we get the Bucky one or no?
The what?
The Bucky super from there?
No, thank you, John.
Oh, we got a few. Derek, we didn't get either. Did we get Nick Cage looks godly?
We just.
Oh, okay, because I didn't.
Oh no, we didn't. You're right.
Okay.
Fuck.
Now
Sorry,
here we are.
everyone.
It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was after Corey.
Just making sure. Okay. All right.
Did we get-
Derek Washington says Nick Cage looked godly. I did like the way he looked too.
I like
just
the
wish
hairy
they
chest.
should have made it look real.
You gave him this. Yeah,
The hairy chest is
carpet.
great.
Go down again. Did we skip to get to these other Corey M's? That's all I want to know. Is like, did we do Joe here?
Yeah, because he said the solid 9, and we cast
Yeah.
Jensen
Yes.
Ackles.
Daddy Clooney. All right, cool. We're
Yeah.
Good call,
super
good
caught
call.
up. He did look godly, and like I get that they needed the consistency. I wanted to see his real face, but that was for me one of those moments where like this fan service is working. I don't care if it's CGI. I'm just glad we got to see a glimpse of it because that's something I actually didn't think they would ever do.
They should have just put him there de-aged because Nicolas Cage still looks Botox ready.
He's still smooth, man.
Yeah, he
he's
still
just give
looks
him that
fine.
wig and he'll be fine.
All right, Bucky Barnes.
Yes.
I hope we get Reverse Flash versus the Flash in the sequel. Then we find out it was him that killed Barry's mom. Then Crisis on Infinite Earths after that. 2 just massive Flash movies in a row.
And then after that, we go to just regular Flash adventures for the rest of the franchise.
Just day-to-day villain of the weeks.
Wasn't the original ending supposed to hint at the looming crisis?
Yeah, the original ending before the reset was a Crisis movie. I think would have been the third, kind of like you're implying. The sequel is going to be Reverse Flash, but everything was leading to Crisis, and then well, there was a real Crisis.
Hamada wanted to do Crisis. But yeah, no, the original ending had Michael. I remember seeing the first thing I ever saw Michael Keaton were the leaked
The
set
filming,
photos. Yeah, which I was like, so I thought it was Michael Keaton coming out of the car in that moment, and then when I was gathering screenshots for the review, you could on the final trailer they put in the deleted scene where there's Kara in that same crowd. I'm like, oh, these are just the those are the same like crowd people when they get out in Batman when like George Clooney scene.
Kara's in the crowd?
I mean, yeah, you can see the people behind her.
Oh,
There's regular
wow.
people, and then I heard that was supposed to be that car was supposed to be there too. I was like, oh yeah,
wow.
it's totally not in the movie. But it's just funny how they still kept it in the trailer though. That's a good like shot of her, so it makes sense. But yeah, that I guess they were like, well, if we can't put Michael Keaton, let's just make it funny. Let's do it funny.
Well, that's an interesting question actually in the chat. But we can get to it a little later.
RoboCop. Did you guys notice the blimp overhead Gotham when Barry arrived to the bridge? Gotham overall looks amazing as well, set in Glasgow.
God, they're always going to Glasgow for Gotham.
Great
Cheaper to
tax
film
breaks.
there, man. Cheaper to film.
And
Cheaper to film.
older architecture probably too.
Carl Urban would be a great Batman. But
Ooh.
no, I did not notice this blimp. Did you guys?
I did not
Didn't
notice
see
a
the
blimp, but it's very
blimp?
Batman of him. Thank you,
Yeah.
RoboCop. I will look for a blimp on my third viewing. Also, now I really love Dread Batman because the scowl is the same. Carl Urban would be great.
Yeah, he'll just have his
Yeah.
whole mouth just.
Grimace.
I thought the Aquaman post-credit scene was a big waste of time. I thought they should have deleted it. I don't
It's
think
so-
it does anything for the movie.
I thought they were gonna make him Lobo at that moment, or something. I don't
Right,
know.
to give it a purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to have him be just super drunk for a better reason. But like, I don't know.
Mustafa Jav.
I
Oh,
like.
we're doing the-
I liked "I Live Here" though. I did like
That was a good line amongst the chaos.
Yeah.
4, Jack Reacher. 2, Jack Runner. Jack Swimmer. Jack Fucker. Jack Slayer. Jack the Riper. Jack Kisser. Jack Shooter. Jack Reacher.
What?
Basically, on our Reacher reactions, we were always trying to find like
Puns.
Oh.
based on Jack
Puns.
Reacher's name.
Got it. Jack Reacher really funny then. I like that.
Wordplay. Reacher wordplay.
Little Jack
can't wear
Verb.
Jack Reach around when I was reviewing the Tom Cruise ones.
Well, excuse
Yeah,
me. It's
yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mustafa Jav. We'll keep that in mind for season 2.
Absolutely.
seen
I'm
Reacher?
excited.
I've not.
It's a good show.
So good. Alan
Love
Richardson,
that guy.
boy.
Yeah, that guy's great. He's so big.
He's huge.
He was at Fast X in the premiere and he made everyone look so tiny, and those not a small cast.
Well, Gracian, I think that's what James Gunn's doing. He's wanting to slow shit down instead of wanting to hop to the big ones. Hold on.
Run, Barry,
Run to the
Marco
Super Chats.
Tunstall. Oh, my boy.
Cut
No,
yourself off.
I cut myself off.
yourself off.
Cut myself off.
How could you?
Run, Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
That's the first time someone says "Run, Barry, run" in the show. I really enjoyed the movie, but I feel like Batfleck didn't serve much purpose with big chase scene. No, it was just fun fan service.
It was just a day, like starting out with a normal day in Gotham.
I'll use this opportunity to say that I thought the food thing would come back around because I really like the awkward stakes of the fact that Barry needs to eat. Don't know why he didn't pick up the candy bar in the beginning when he was
Does make
speedrunning.
sense.
Yeah, you're the fastest guy.
Yeah, he
like,
could've
what
could've
time
picked
are
up
you
that candy
wasting?
bar. I don't know what he lost by. Just pick up the candy bar. It's right there at your foot.
It could have just gone up a blip and still been a funny joke.
Yeah.
Like, it still would have worked.
As a regular human, I would have had the time to still pick up the candy bar.
Yes.
I don't need like the super fast powers to do it.
Yeah.
But I do like that. That seems like such a big thing for him. Then in the finale of the movie, like, oh, I guess he doesn't need to eat. Neither of them need to eat
Because they've been doing it for
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
The guy's like, I've been doing this so long. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that would come around, but I did like the Batfleck action scene. I feel like it's not entirely necessary, sure, but it is fun. It's good to establish just how
brings you back in the world.
because it seems like they're putting this thing where Flash is not respected. He's not really liked. He
He's the
saves his
janitor.
people, and no one even thinks of him. He even has that part. He's like, yeah, thanks, Flash. So I thought they were gonna have some wraparound where like Flash becomes the hero or some shit.
Yeah.
That gets recognized. So yeah, there are things that they like set up that don't ultimately get paid off. Who knows? That's what part 2s are for. So yeah. Snacks and Cinema back at it in the chat. I was fully expecting Aquaman to pop up when Batman was hanging off the bridge in the opening fight sequence. You pointed out something about these Wonder Woman cameos. Use this opportunity to say what you told me the other day about how you feel Wonder Woman cameos are a little strange. You got
Well, yeah.
45 seconds, Shaw.
I think the Wonder Woman cameos are charming, but this and Shazam both had this like strange quality where she shows up and she's just like, "Oh, you guys!" Like it's
Yeah.
she has this like it's so light in a way that didn't quite complement the scene, and she's like so spotlit. She just feels like she's kind of completely elsewhere, and I don't know, to be like the one major cameo that you get in the film was like a little peculiar in that sense, because it's like it's badass when she shows up, but also it is like, I don't know, there's something, I probably articulated it better before, but yeah, there's something just sort of like sillier about her presence that kind of took me out of it for the moment. I like the lasso of truth jokes. I think those are fun. But yeah, I don't know. There's something it's like artificial almost feeling, even though she is like the one real cameo when she shows up.
Yeah.
It's an odd beat.
Someone just wrote in the chat, I just want to, if this is true, it was reported an hour ago that Gunn is currently screen testing Nicholas Hoult, David Cornsweet, Tim Brittany, and everyone in Wardrobe. I know they're screen testing, but I had not heard the, I think it's down to 3 for Lois and Superman, but I hadn't heard the Wardrobe. That's exciting.
Yeah, we'll just wait. We'll just wait. All these, like, people are, like, dying for news right now.
That could happen while we have our panel on Saturday at Comic-Con.
That'd be awesome. I do think Wonder Woman deserved better cameos. I think she did. It was more of service in the Shazam one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that was
didn't-
way more
Even though I
purpose.
didn't
made-
like that movie,
It makes more sense.
I thought she was better there. It made more sense, even though she was, like, CGI'd or some bullshit.
I just wanted
preferred her there.
I just wanted her to be more part of the scene, because she's just kind of standing there grinning.
Yeah.
Look at me being here.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like it's cute in a weird way to me.
It's like saccharine sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bucky Barnes, Atlanta. Thank you, Bucky. Hey, guys, if you're still here, can you leave the like? Oh, yeah, Wonder Woman can fly and ride the lightning. She could have got there earlier. Someone pointed that out in the chat. When Iris was talking to Barry at night, the building she was standing in front of was called Grayson's. Anyone else see that? John
Yeah.
certainly did.
Yeah.
He pointed it out earlier. You
Did
got a
enjoy
super
that.
chat earlier.
Yeah.
You want to make sure John doesn't talk about something
Sorry,
ahead of time.
guys.
Doe Eyes. We got a cat here.
It's a smiling,
Smiling
cat.
cat.
Hells yeah.
That's awesome. Koi Flex.
Is that the cat emoji?
Yeah. Spider Coy.
So what all I do is get splash chemical on you and then get hit by lightning just to get powers. Apparently,
That's all it takes.
they could have explained something with like Barry's DNA so that way, because apparently, like, could anyone do this?
Yeah. Anyone in that lab. You could have brought
Just-
10 people and got 10 flashes.
Just gets the chemicals again.
That's
and
all
then,
it
then
takes.
Is electrocuted again.
Someone should really patent that. It's really important.
It's funny. It's funny stuff. Saved by comedy is what we call Hollywood these days. Alonzo P. Alonzo P. Oh my God.
Hey.
Run, Barry,
Run to the super chats.
Yes.
Was hoping to get a Zack Snyder's Justice League Speed Force type scene. Not in a movie that has to jam pack all this. Still my favorite sequence. Still enjoy the movie. That "What did you do?" delivery from Supergirl. What did you do? She
Yeah.
plays an intense Supergirl really well.
Yeah.
This is the most comic accurate Supergirl I've ever seen. I love that. Like Supergirl's,
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Most
I
comic
will
accurate.
find her.
So Supergirl in the comics is like
Really?
raised on an asteroid, alone, isolated, and then she's
Yeah.
not. It's all a commentary on nature
Oh,
versus.
Maybe you're right.
Do you want? You want to hear it?
Yeah, I do want to
Okay.
hear it. I just
Nature
wanna
versus
see if you can
nurture.
keep it
Like
up.
without
Come
Ma
on.
and Pa Kent, what does a
Talk a
Kryptonian
little
become?
lower.
So I love the idea that even without that, the Kryptonians are so
distracting
full
you.
of hope that they're able to actually
Are you
be
distracted?
beyond the nature versus nurture. So Kara represents what it's like to not have that Clark Kent, Kansas upbringing. So the fact that
What if I
Kara
raised
is
mine to be
intense,
louder than
you're
yours?
able to still convey
What
the
if
fact
we
that you
take
can
yours
have
all the
someone
way
be full of hope,
down?
which is the actual metaphor for what that S represents. So the joke is this S doesn't stand for super, it stands for hope. It actually works if you have the dichotomy and the duality of Superman versus Supergirl, and I think that Kara here plays her better than like what they have to do with Benoist or what they had to do with Helen Slater, and I think she actually gets the character more fully.
Hold
I
on.
beat you to
You
it.
got,
I
you
beat
got
you
a
to it.
couple of your Coy bingo words.
I did.
in
I was
there.
seeing
got
what-
knowledge
trying to beat you there.
Sorry, I'm not spelling your name right.
I don't know
because,
who.
It was the Oscars
John
fan
yelled
favorite
at us
movie.
about this.
Janine is
for like
correct.
15 minutes.
What did I yell about?
Barry's already being thrown out the window.
That's right, guys. You heard it here on my 15-minute rant.
Spidey Sensei 72, thank you. Thoughts on deleted scene about Batman quitting? What?
What?
Which Batman quit in which timeline?
Which Batman quit?
Helps
And
out.
what? And how does he do it? Is he just like, listen, I'm gonna get a real job?
Now we have 30 seconds to wait to hear how
That was-
Batman quit because I have no
That
idea.
was the beat. Yeah, if somebody knows, enlighten us.
I think it would have been funny if Ben Affleck got in his car and then just drove it straight into a wall.
Mm.
I'm quitting.
done.
Burn down the manor.
Oh my God! Yeah, Patrick Starr. The S is for Superman. Christopher Reeve said so. They should do a multiverse movie where they all do get together and
They
they'll be
talk
like,
about
what does
their-
your S stand for? What does your S stand for?
Spaghetti.
Yeah, oh, that'd be a great callback.
Flash's ass is spaghetti.
Spaghetti Flash.
And then there's
Spaghetti Superman.
Slash from the band, and his stands for Slash. I think that it is in that continuity Superman, but like Christopher Reeve is not the comic book. It's just different continuity.
Keaton shows up at the fight with the Kryptonians and says, "Yeah, I give up."
That's not true.
That's not
It's
true.
a joke, John.
All right.
Aisha Kenya.
Ah.
Thank you, Aisha, for being here.
Hey.
But you said in the chat you hadn't seen the movie. I know. Brandon Routh. Well, Brandon Routh's acknowledged in the TV show. He belongs to the Arrowverse now.
Yeah.
No question. Just want to let you handsome fellows know. Y'all are awesome. I've been loving the content. Keep up the great work, guys. Oh, it's
Aw,
so
thank you
nice
so
for you to
much.
say, especially when it's a lady who says it. Usually guys who are just saying it to me, and then all the women say it to John, and then Coy gets real private DMs. You know what I'm saying? So it's always like, yeah.
They're the hidden ones.
just-
that
yeah,
you
you gotta-
really
you gotta
search
unblur
through the
that
bits
image.
for
You got to
us.
see what's going on in there.
Ride the cancel
A lot of
culture
eggplant
line as far as we
emojis. And yeah, it was a bummer that they didn't do Val or Brandon Routh, I guess, too.
I mean, Grant Gustin, I think, would have been the biggest moment, but I acknowledge they did it on the show. It just would have been nice to see Grant here.
Whatever. He hates the Flash now. That's why he quit.
Done with this.
Vincent, RCO. Think about it. Everyone, think about it. The conclusion to Keaton's Batman is him. Supergirl failing to save Earth. I don't know. Hello. I'm getting Terminator, Dark Fate, John Connor vibes. Why? It's not like Keaton just showed up and they killed him.
True.
It's not like they put the ending in the trailer.
Yeah, and it's not like it's like a weird, I don't know, not retcon, but it does kind of affect the previous canon, whereas this is just, this is an event that wasn't supposed to happen, so you guys are both going to fail at this, and this universe is going to fold up. You still get a substantial amount of time with them, so I don't feel the same.
I mean, they're saying that he's still saved, right? No, but it's a different one because it's George Clooney.
Exactly. Multiverse.
yeah.
God damn it. It's
Damn the
confusing.
multiverse.
It's confusing. The DCU is going to be so confusing. And James Gunn was like, this is the greatest superhero movie ever. I'm basing my whole DC universe off of how great this is. Alex Segala, what is it, Coy? Do you have it? Is it quick or
It's
is it
very
long?
quick. No, it's very quick. I will say that the only might be good thing about Flash not doing as well is that Muschietti's already getting rewarded with Batman, and if this doesn't do well, they're more likely to just clean slate the DC. If this had done well, they might have, like, I think it's going to be less messy because of this weekend.
Yeah, good thing it's failing. That's what we all wanted to hear. Alex
Muschietti still gets Batman.
Did you like Batfleck's voice used in The Flash? His speaking voice when he is just talking with Barry, I thought was great. I really like, I don't feel like this gets pointed out enough. We were kind of touching on it earlier. This movie does do a good job at distinguishing between Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton's Batman interpretations because Michael Keaton's just like so chill.
So chill.
He's like a stoner Batman.
He's the dude.
Yeah, he
I kept
is
thinking the
he is-
dude.
He does
is-
look like the
he is
dude.
the
In
dude.
the opening scene, I'm like, that guy's got rugs that tie the room together.
He's such a chill, laid back guy who's
The
just
Joker came in and pissed on his rug.
like he's lost a lot of that darkness for sure. But you can feel that the past darkness in it. But he's now just like, hey man, this is just life now.
I paint.
Now,
Yeah.
now when he wants to get nuts, he's got a
I-
bowl of macadamias.
I really,
ready.
I think that is Batman ultimately necessary in here. I think there's ways that could have tweaked the writing to make him feel more essential. The way how Flashpoint comic and in the DC animated makes Batman feel very essential in that story. There's ways they could have tweaked it to alleviate any question beyond reasonable doubt that Batman was necessary to be in this movie. But I think Michael Keaton's performance it's so charismatic and it's so enjoyable that I'm like, yeah, I prefer him in it because he's just so much fun. He's both times watching this, I'm like, Keaton really helps save whatever the writing because even when he chooses to be Batman, I go, what? There's not a moment to be like, oh, that's the strong why and motive that makes him go, I'm going to don the cape after so many years, you know? It just kind of happens
He just
really
seems
fa-
like he's got nothing else to
They
do.
brush past it. Like there's a little bit of a punch with the whole Alfred reminding and he's been watching him. But again, that comes back to the thing I was saying earlier that there's a lot of things that I feel are rushed through. So he just becomes Batman. It doesn't feel as like rewarding or as cathartic as it ought to be.
But then at the end when he dies, I do that moment
no,
was
it's a
rewarding.
bummer. Yeah.
No, but the moment he says like, "You brought me back," that was the moment we didn't get earlier.
Yeah.
So I
Already
still
did.
felt served.
Did we notice the laughing back? You mean when the camera decides to focus on it and it's the only thing you hear? Yeah, we noticed the laughing back.
Did you notice
Yeah.
this heavily featured
Yeah.
thing? Keaton is definitely Uncle
You guys see
Batman.
the Flash in this movie?
No, but thanks for being Jason. It's like, hey, be nice. Everyone be nice,
love.
even though I started making the joke.
You did
Sorry.
this.
Did you guys see
Sorry.
the old Batmobile?
All
Whoa.
love, all
I
love.
liked the laughing bag.
Me too.
Hold on, raccoon, for a 20
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
With Super Chats.
I find it interesting
It's funny every time.
that Spider-Verse and Flash have the problem is I come up with these at such a last minute.
I find it funny.
A week in advance.
I need to come up with them like at least the night before. I find it interesting that Spider-Verse and Flash have exact opposite views on the same sort of idea of canon events, and they both came out so close to each other. Now, if only we can get them to cross over.
I think this is a very beautiful thing because I think Spider-Man represents with great power there must also come great responsibility, which is misquoted in the Sam Raimi movies, which is part of why I don't like them as much as other people do. There's an action required. It's not with great power comes great responsibility. It's with great power there must also come. It's an action. It's a verb. It's a doing. And
Mine goes dun 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 dun.
Get to your point, Coy.
I was. But in Marvel, there's are underdog characters that have to overcome something in order to succeed. In DC, these are gods that live amongst us. Those are very different views on what heroism is. So I like that in the Spider-Man lore, which is more traditionally like, I lose everything. This is what my life is. I have to do this. Miles is going outside of that and going like, I'm going to change things, which is very unlike that character of Spider-Man, the archetypal Spider-Man. Flash is going against the archetype of DC, which is, yeah, these things are happening. I'm an all-powerful being. I have to fix it. I have to fix it. This will change. So Flash has to let go, and Miles has to not let go. So I love that the canon events are opposing, and they're also juxtaposing the expectations of the universe themselves. I think this is very intentional, and I really like that they're so close together.
For sure.
Yeah, dun 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 dun.
Oh, Smokey the Bear.
Run, Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
Yes.
Did anyone else say what the fuck when they say George Clooney?
Yeah, the Flash did.
Yeah.
Look is this?
I did. When we first saw the movie, we talked plenty about this cameo. When we first saw the movie, I think I leaned over to you about like an hour in and be like, I guess his tooth is just gonna stay on.
I know. I was like,
so when they brought it back at the very
science
end,
here?
I was like, all right, well done.
Long game.
Yeah.
A very long game for
Yeah.
that joke.
Yeah.
yeah, because at first when it goes into his mouth, I'm like, this is the weirdest little bit, and then it has a little 3. It has 3 beats. It's good. I'll allow it.
Because I didn't forget about that tooth.
Nope.
I was kept thinking about like every 15 minutes, like, would that work? Do people do that? What a strange
I'm
thing.
like, would you have to dry your gums severely,
Yeah.
or how? Yeah. What's the science here? I know people like super glue superficial wounds.
But usually
done.
it's like half
Yeah.
a tooth. His tooth was out. Anyway, yeah.
Of Warden, the major villain I believe that he became is not Dark Flash, but the movie version of Savitar. I thought Savitar. Okay, a lot of people thought it might have been Zoom when he first is introduced, but I was like, we don't have time for Zoom. It's got to be. It's got to be another version of Barry that is paying for the consequences, like right away.
It's
And
the
what
Lightyear version.
what does help, like, clue me into that is the fact that I did see the whole Savitar season of. I haven't read any Savitar comics like this guy. I only saw the whole season dedicated to it. So, which was a season that was like kind of up and down, but there were some really great moments. That's when they do like Tobey Maguire Dark Flash.
Oh, dude, I see. I haven't seen
Yeah,
the show that
it's
much.
like, oh, it's kind of goofy, but I like Savitar.
Does he dance?
I do. He's got the emo thing going. But I do like. But yeah, it was fine. I thought it was fine. I like what it represents in the movie, and I don't think the handling of it. There are some structural things that I do wish were. Yeah, it was very predictable. But I do wish there were some structural things that were a little bit more fleshed out because I did forget about it entirely.
Yeah.
Until like close to the finale when the movie's like, hey, don't forget.
This guy!
When he's waking up after being electrocuted, when Supergirl takes him up, and it's just like a quick flash of that guy, and you're like, don't forget that guy. He's gonna come back. Don't forget about him.
This is important.
Yep. Don't forget about him.
I did like the
Yeah.
concept of that whole when young Barry first phases with the big piece
Yeah.
of shrapnel and then it becomes like a weapon. Like it's a cool, like horrific idea for that character.
And I did think the phasing was really cool too. I actually like when they break it down to a molecular level when they go through the door when they're first
Yeah.
going into the Central City Police Station.
And
So,
that
yeah.
humor worked for me so much.
To
Like
the
that
forensic
beer
lab,
is
yeah.
such a funny
Oh,
joke to
the-
me. That
the-
beer joke, I laughed. I embarrassed myself on our stream.
when-
I laughed so hard.
When he first runs, when he doesn't have his powers.
Oh my god, that little
Yeah,
police
and
scene.
it's making fun of the way he
That-
runs.
the choice of his
yeah,
acting,
and
yeah.
to capture it in a way where
And then the
it's
overhead.
not. It's just you just see how silly it does look, and like the fact that they were willing to make fun of that right on screen. I thought it was great.
I laughed
That
a
was
lot more than I
That was
expected.
really funny.
And it's
That
great
was really
because
funny.
when he's in the actual Speed Force, you see it and you go, okay, I guess with how fast the wind must be, I get that
Yeah.
it must be aerodynamics. And then, yeah, you see it normal. and you're
I
like,
do like the
It's
stance that
silly.
he gets when he is to pose too. Like I think even Zack Snyder's Justice League, it has the whole like preparation. He's kind of doing like Tai Chi.
Oh,
maneuvers,
yeah.
which I think really helps establish that too. Saideep Shiti, thank you. The opening scene of Batman chasing has guys reminding me of JLA. Batfleck is a MF tank. Dude got thrown into cars and walls, didn't flinch. It's the suit, all saved by the suit.
Also, Affleck's a beast. So if any of the Batmans, I do buy Affleck just being able to hang. That guy's a huge.
He is really tall.
Like I was joking
Yeah.
before, he was getting out of his little like limo to walk in, and
The
it.
second we were walking
was
in,
so
his limo
funny.
arrived, and it was like right where we were.
So we
I
were
was
like
whoa.
3 feet from what appeared in our minds as Bruce Wayne. I didn't see Ben
Okay,
Affleck. I saw
okay.
at a premiere Bruce Wayne appear, and it felt like the scene in which one was it? BBS.
He had J Lo next to him. I don't even.
I
Think
don't think I saw
I
J-Lo.
don't think I even looked at her.
One of the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful people
right
in the world.
in front of us.
We literally
and
got
all I
stuck
did
behind.
was look at Ben
That's
Affleck.
how
the
you
whole
can
time,
tell
and
you're
I-
in a
I
nerd
don't
premiere.
even think I saw. I
One of the
looked
most
at
beautiful
Jennifer-
people I've ever
like-
seen. I only know because of photos.
Olivia asked you like, "What did J Lo look like first?" I'm like, I don't think I looked at her.
And we got stuck behind them. We were like within 3 feet of them. I was like, "Oh, J-Lo was there,"
Yeah.
and then I did get to thank Ben Affleck for all of his service to Boston, which was
Yeah.
nice. That was a good moment for me. But for a
I-
moment, it was Bruce Wayne.
I had a moment. I had a very real moment where because Ben Affleck was about to walk past us, and I was like, "Coy, do I get out my camera?" He's like, "Yeah, get your camera out." So I got out my camera. I started recording. About 10 seconds into recording, he did a quick glance at me, and I panicked because I saw every online video I've ever seen of Ben Affleck upset at people recording him. And even though this is a premiere, totally different situation than like
Yeah.
getting
Not
coffee
bugging the guy.
and getting donuts. Like a completely different thing. He's expected to be recorded by everyone, but the fact that he looked right at my camera for a split second, I was like, "Oh my god, he's gonna yell at me."
My favorite thing was I didn't understand the context of you taking out your phone. So like you were like, I was like, yeah, we're gonna go in. Let's. But then when I saw what you were referring to, I was like, he might thump you. Like he's just so big. And then like when I thanked him, I saw a bunch of people taking photos with him, and I was like, I just want to thank him for what he's done for Boston. But in that 30-second interaction, I was like, I've never been more afraid to say hi to anyone in my life.
Yeah.
And then like he shakes your hand and smiles, and you're like, is this a trick? Like he's just so
Is he mad at
intimidating.
me?
He's such a Frank Miller Batman, and he's so kind, but man, is that guy intimidating.
Yeah, you don't want to get on his bad side. I've seen him on
His
that one show.
bat side.
Aha,
Ah.
Chef Z, Chef Z. Coy,
What was this?
do a ranking of your most hated. Huh?
Oh yeah, man. Let him know.
Canadian money is worth more than American money.
He's
Is
earned
it?
it. Yeah.
Oh.
Holy shit, that super chat's huge.
Nice.
Do you guys know where that moment's from?
No.
When he sees the Batmobile.
Oh yeah.
That's not my voice. That's
Nice.
Ezra's voice.
It blends beautifully.
Coy, do a ranking of your most hated MCU movies, please. No one's more likely to do a negative video than Coy. I
all I
can
do.
appreciate all MCU movies for their place, but some do better than others. Crap. Shit talk only.
It's not very Canadian of you.
I think it would be a great video.
We
I would-
did a negative video,
He did one.
and that's all I.
And it
That's
was like, oh my god, what have I done?
Okay.
He started twitching.
It did take 4 times as long to film. I have things like for me, I can't make art that is to this scale, so why would I shit talk it? 2, there are a million negative reviewers to every one positive one, so there's plenty of shit you can find. 3,
Engagement.
yeah, I could be twice to 5 times as successful tomorrow if I start doing negative stuff, but
Quit talking, bitching about your lack of success.
Take
Coy.
your Twitter energy and put it on
Time to
YouTube.
start becoming, yeah.
the
quit
only thing
being
I
a
hate
bitch.
is hate. So I will come at you troll motherfuckers,
being
but
a-
I will not come at art
Quit
because
being a
art
bitch.
existing is a miracle. So the worst DC movies, the worst Marvel movies, I think that Captain Marvel looked cheap and it was underserving to both Brie Larson and the directors. I think that movie did not do justice to what Brie can bring, and I think the Marvel's going to be a lot better for it.
This is good for what we have in store.
I think the Marvel's going to be a great way to show what Captain Marvel can be, but the movie didn't serve her. I do think Thor Dark World meandered when it had a purpose, but there was a studio interference level because it was the first sequel that really didn't know where to land things.
Why not?
I think what other ones are on the bottom of the totem pole? I think Hawkeye didn't do Kingpin justice, but the overall show is good. WandaVision's 6th episode is not as good as 1 through 5, but like these are all nitpicks. Overall, art is a miracle to exist, and I don't think negativity has a purpose in this case, in this setting.
It does
Those were negatives. I did it.
when it.
Look at
I
it
know,
go.
but we're not gonna get views off of that.
That's-
It's like 2 hours into this.
Well, this is when they asked, and also
on,
those were
Paul.
very like light
We need
negatives.
to get your red eye, wide eye thumbnail and scream about virtue segment.
Oh, right, right, right.
I know DC movies don't really flow and connect like Marvels do, but what do you guys think the next movie or main focus should be about in the DCEU? Crisis on Infinite Earths right away.
Right away.
I think you
Jump
should
in.
just start off with Crisis. I think that's what Creature Commando should be about.
A crisis film.
It's Crisis on Infinite Earths. That would be the most important part of the DCEU. You got to establish it right away. I think I think the final scene of the first episode, you should see Apocalypse showing up.
Yes,
That would be cool.
Mhm.
Not Apocalypse.
Dark Side. I got
Dark
you.
Side. Yeah, Dark Side.
X-Men
showing up.
crossover. X-Men coming.
Yeah.
Marvel DC. It's finally happened.
Yeah, have him showing up. That'd be awesome. Ready the Armada. They should even say Ready the Armada just to piss off everyone who loved.
They should call
Zack
things
Snyder.
what ifs instead of Elseworlds. I think we're going to get a very cohesive DCU because it is going to be not all connected. I think the things that connect are going to work. I think it's also going to be much more plotted. The next 10 years are going to be like orchestrated versus like this, then this, and then it's not going to be as reactionary, I don't think.
We'll see. You don't know James Gunn like I do. Lack of confidence.
That guy doesn't know his comics.
Nope.
Of course, Greg would like this movie. I feel like I've been the most negative.
I
in this
think
stream.
Yeah, Greg.
Would you just stop shilling?
Honestly,
For
it's
like
embarrassing.
5
John
minutes.
hates the ending though.
I liked it.
Oh,
I'm
this is
just
what I mean.
saying
There
it
you
is
go.
a little bit
Too
of an odd
sensitive.
choice. I think it's a little
John, please.
Barry,
Run to the super chats.
Yes, Alan Ling. John, read it.
Alan Ling, I saw both Flash and Elemental this weekend. I had a better time watching Elemental over Flash. I liked Flash, but I didn't love it. Will you guys save watching Elemental for the channel?
I've heard it's not that great. So, based off of the one opinion I heard, I'm going to skip it now.
One person said,
it's I don't know yet. Maybe.
Depends if it makes a splash.
I haven't seen Little Mermaid yet.
Nor have I.
And like Elemental's on that list too. I mean, I love Pixar. Pixar's one of my favorite studios. And I feel like they just don't market them well anymore.
Sorry, Jen. I'm reacting to Little Mermaid here with my wife.
Oh,
Oh, fun.
we should do two. We should do a Coy and John and a marriage
Watch
one.
these two dudes.
I don't want to hear your racist slanders the whole time.
I do hate fish.
Yeah.
I'm
Not my
speciesist.
flounder.
Yeah.
Not my flounder.
What's
all right?
Sebastian doing?
I
Yeah.
thought
All
I was
red.
talking
That's
about
our boy,
Latino
though.
actor Javier Bardem.
Oh, that's my real
Yes, of
struggle. When I think
course.
of what's his name with the trident?
That's
King Triton.
Triton.
King Triton. When I think of Green Titan's got to have a white beard, white man. That's my issue.
I just hope that there's a clipping song that Sebastian gets to sing.
Because he's so happy. If there was like a Will Smith-esque score where it's like the king of the sea makes all the songs for like Little Mermaid.
I just love how people, like Daveed Diggs is a very, gregarious and lovely presence, and yet when you go check out like his band, it's like the harshest, dissonant, dark shit.
It's like me on Twitter.
It's great.
It's
I
an
love it.
outlet.
I love it. I
You
love
need
it.
an outlet.
Clipping all day. If you haven't heard clipping, go listen to some clipping.
Highly recommend.
Good shit.
Also, the Blind Spotting soundtrack.
I got to see Blind Spot.
So good.
Very excited.
Greg's like, why are they still talking?
Yep. Mr. Spaz World is here. Small note. I hated the lighting on Batman.
Just any scene?
Like, I'm supposed to be sad this guy is dead, and all I can concentrate on is the fact I can see his nostrils.
Who's dead?
Batman.
Yeah. When he's on
Oh,
the ground and he's
Got
like,
the
"You
end
saved
scene
me."
of Batman.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the whole. Okay, got it. I mean, everyone has nostrils.
I thought Michael Keaton looked his Batman looked great in the day. It was Ben Affleck's when he's just standing on the freeway that I didn't like the way any of that looks. I think it looks terrible. I think it's really bad. But I know you can capture him during the day. Like, you see it in Zack Snyder's Justice League. You can capture Batman during the day.
Nolan's Batman was daytime, and
It
the
looked
Dark Knight
amazing.
Rises.
Looked
Like Dark
amazing.
Knight Rises, is almost all daytime.
I'm saying specifically.
Oh,
like
this
Ben
Batman.
Ben Affleck's Batman.
Got
I
it.
think you can really capture because they do make a joke like, "What's he doing out during the day?"
Yeah.
But love how Ben Affleck's Batman just refuses to thank Barry for the miracles he pulls off.
Yeah, I think it's
like,
so good.
I'm doing the real deed. Stop it.
My ego wouldn't allow
I
for me to
just-
accept
I
help.
just saved a bunch of babies, man, a bunch of you over a burning building.
You have actual superpowers.
Yeah. Pavenmeyer, in fact, I probably should have stuck you on it.
Yeah.
You could have done both, really.
Seriously. And maybe with less destruction.
I've got to go save the world. I'm Batman.
Pavenmeyer, did they acknowledge Zack Snyder's Justice League as canon? Sort of, because Ben mentions him going back in time by 1 second. What he did in that is their way of acknowledging that Zack Snyder's Justice League is canon. I remember there was something that they do say that made
Kiersey
me.
Clemens says, we met, I think it was in a dream, and that takes place in Snyder's Cut.
Yeah,
That whole sequence is only in Snyder's Cut,
Yes.
so that implied that was
yeah.
canon.
They're definite. To me, this is the following in that continuity for sure. Between the two, I totally think it's worth watching.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's opinion's been different.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a movie this polarizing in a long time. It's like there's no one that likes it. You either really like it, love it, or really hate it. There's no one that's like, it's a 5. Like, it's all 7s to 10s and 2s.
It's kind of like Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Bass Creek's Child, what up? Bass Creek's Child,
Run, Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
Thoughts on them bringing back George and Christopher Reeves? I thought it was pretty disgusting and pretty cold to do, especially with George, a person whose life was ruined by Superman. Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the stream. And I think what Coy said was, he's dead, his opinion doesn't matter, so let it be. That's not what he said.
No. Does worm food even get a vote? Is what I said. You guys want a hateful
Nice.
Coy? You want reverse Coy?
Nice.
He'll come at you.
Gallows, straight from the gallows.
No.
George Reeves is a
Coy
bit more conflicted.
Coy expressed what he really.
Christopher Reeve.
I honestly think it's a really dangerous precedent, and I honestly think George Reeves may or may not have killed himself because of the impact Superman had in his life. So to specifically bring him back as Superman feels like burying him and unburying him and burying him and unburying him twice. It is a very slippery slope we're entering with using the likeness of the dead, and a lot of the reason the strike is happening is because the writers and SAG don't have anything in their contract about AI.
Reverse
and,
Coy.
But right now we're basically fighting. The unions are fighting for the right for the dead because AI could actually have the likeness of these things that don't have the contract signed allow for this. And right now, a lot of contracts are your likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe, which means like in 100 years on Mars, they can air you as an unanimated, reanimated corpse. So it's a really dangerous precedent. And this movie using it in so many different ways is kind of the first marker of like, this is where it could go. So I think it is a detriment to society. And I do think it's a dangerous thing. And I do feel for the Reeves. I also think it's very uncanny valley-ish to use imagery that is only in 2D in a way that is 3D and kind of like reanimate a corpse so literally. So I don't love it. I didn't personally think it was worth the fan service. I didn't mind the Nick Cage because he's with us and said it. It was okay. So that's where I'm at in real life.
It's conflicting because, yeah, it's like in some ways it's paying honor. And, you know, obviously, in some ways, I'm like, I like that they start with George Reeves and honor that because most people think of Christopher Reeve.
Right.
But with Christopher Reeve, you're like, okay, well, he played the role so many times, he might be okay with that. But yeah, it's an odd question. And two, what I just realized now is that Ben Affleck played George Reeves in a
No,
movie.
they should have let Ben Affleck do it.
I like a continuity where Ben Affleck's not Batman, he's Superman.
Guess
But
who-
Barry's like, what's happening?
And guess who Ben Affleck was banging in that movie? Diane Lane.
Oh,
His mom.
Martha Kent,
yes.
people. Oh my God, look at this. Rivicify.
Run, Barry,
Run to the super chats.
Moment of silence. Thank you. Vince didn't say anything.
Oh, look at that.
Those are the best. Those are the best.
Yes, moment of silencio.
That's how you want a live stream. Just take the money and don't say shit.
Just wait.
That's how
Just
we-
lurk.
Yeah.
Is that mic been off the whole time?
Doesn't matter.
No, it's. I
I
want it to be off so that it doesn't
Yeah,
suck battery.
more
That's a
people
little-
are coming around to you on the cans, John.
I mean, you know, it just creates a question in that if you
Who cares? Time travel never makes sense.
Don't think about it too hard; it fries your mind.
What are you saying? That you prefer that Ron Livingston
Yeah.
stay in prison?
Ron Livingston is my
you
Peter
know what they should have
Sarsgaard.
done? They should have moved the cans.
Yep.
Barry doesn't get to be there in court when it happens. He goes to the courthouse. They're like, Barry, your dad's just been presumed innocent because of the footage. They're like, no way, that's awesome. Billy Crudup.
Billy Crudup. And he's like, who are you?
Yeah.
I wanted a Billy Crudup.
That would have been great.
I miss
and
Billy
then George
Crudup.
Clooney shows up. How awesome would that have been? And then George Reeves' dead body reanimates
George Clooney's hand.
from the ground. Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious! I heard a very interesting George Reeves story. I won't go into right now.
What a setup. What a tease.
Yeah.
Hold on, everyone.
run, Barry,
Run to the super chats.
I'm in the same boat with y'all, Jorge Inestra says. I overlook the negatives. Yeah, sometimes a movie can be just so enjoyable that you can overlook it. And then you could shit on some negative. That's the thing. It's like there's logic and emotion. And the thing is, at the end of the day, movies are like a feeling experience. And sometimes a movie can be so logically annoying that it can override your emotional experience. But to me, it's easy to have fun with this one. I can still have fun and watch Justice League and be like, what a shitty movie, but it's fun. I love the mom ending. Lost my mom and it hit. I understand, man. I completely understand. Rosalia track. Oh, can we acknowledge? She's amazing. What a presence that mom has.
Yeah.
She's so
Yeah,
good. Like,
she was
you
great.
needed her to be that effective in those scenes. And I thought efficiently, like, really well effective. Like, you believe her. Even making a choice when she is like, hey, I don't know you. I'm just a stranger. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you. When making the choice to, like, console this stranger in the grocery store, you believe that she would do that.
And that's
She's so
incredible.
good.
That's a
It's not
weird
like,
thing.
What a weird thing! No one would do that.
Yeah.
Like you believe she would do it from just the brief times you have with her. Not enough people are talking about how awesome of a performer she is.
Gene Jeter, I want to see your Flash movie.
Yes, that'd be amazing. R.I.P. to Schnepp. Yes, rest in peace, John Schnepp.
Yeah.
Clooney got a big reaction in my theater. Oh yeah, dude, that was great. That's the greatest one. And then then they just ended off with a post-credit scene. That's just like the whole time you're watching it, going, they're gonna say something important. Something big's gonna happen.
Oh.
I guess not. That was like some light comedy.
It was definitely an odd paced post-credit scene for what it needed to be. I'm wondering if that's the thing that Jason Momoa shot when he was all like celebratory and he was like, yeah, everything's working out. I'm on the lot. Remember there was that video of him that it was like,
Yeah.
I bet he's Lobo now. I bet they
No,
shot that day.
I don't think that was it.
I don't know what else it
Guys,
would be.
this scene, all right? You don't
I've been
even know.
trying to get into the Flash
I'm
movie.
gonna be in this puddle.
You guys ain't ready for this shit.
I've been trying to get more comedy in these movies.
I mean,
I'm
he's
not- we'll see.
fucking amazing in Fast X, man.
He's so good in Fast X.
So good.
Run, Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
I think people are hating too much on this movie, Emmanuel Rodriguez says. I think it was really enjoyable, fun, and heartfelt. It was a bittersweet goodbye to the old DCU, and I had a blast with it. I really do feel like it holds a nostalgic. You could feel the nostalgic love. It doesn't just feel like, even though I don't like the cameo use, it's strange to me. Even though I thought the Illuminati was weirdly used in Multiverse of Madness, I thought they could have done so much more with them. I somehow felt more of a touching, you know what I'm trying to say. It felt more.
Yeah.
There was something that felt more heartfelt
I think it's Muschietti, man.
about even the weird cameos in here that you're like the intent behind it feels different.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
intent
yeah.
doesn't feel as ghoulish as like some of the ethical concerns.
Saying it out loud is way worse in my head than what it is because the heart feels there. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone put George Reeves in there with malintent. It's just an odd thing because of the history. But if you don't know the history, it's just a cool moment. But if you do, it's odd. But I do think that even those moments were from a good place. I agree. The intent was clearly there.
You guys are just basing your knowledge off of the movie Hollywoodland. You don't know anything.
Yeah. Well,
Jesse,
having
Not
met George Reeves
true.
many
I
times.
also watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Jesse Corrado
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
With Super Chats.
Yeah.
Brodies. Love the energy in each video and live stream. Just want to say thank you for all the laughs. Hardy heart horror. I'm watching The Flash tonight, and despite all the spoilers, I'm still excited. This is one of those movies you can watch no matter how many spoilers you get. As always, you guys rock. Much love. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Appreciate you showing your support. And yeah, I mean, as much as like the trailers, I thought the trailers, as I did watch our old trailer reactions, I was like, oh yeah, no, this pretty much went exactly like how I thought it would go. And then a couple of the cameos were spoiled.
Yeah.
Some things. But so yeah, for the most part, I didn't hear anything about like Supergirl dying and them trying to go back and fix. I didn't know any of that shit. Like,
Right.
none of that was spoiled for me at the very end. And a lot of the details weren't spoiled for me. But I think there's like plot points that can be spoiled. And I'm still like, nah, it didn't affect my. I wasn't like watching it upset, being like, fucking this got ruined for me.
Yeah, I think that if I'd heard with all definitiveness, like the Spider-Man No Way Home, Toby's dick, that leak affected some things. This did not have that same impact of like, oh, now it's lesser.
Yeah.
TJM has asked a few times in the live chat, do I want Scorpion or Venom for the next Spider-Man movie? I think Scorpion would be a much better street-level villain. I want Spider-Man to be street-level for a while. I think Tom Holland deserves a friendly neighborhood in New York movie. I think Venom should be a trilogy where the black suit comes in the second movie and like you build to things. So Scorpion would actually be the perfect one because in the comics, Scorpion was basically made by Jonah Jameson to hunt Spider-Man. That's a very contained story.
You want to have bat nibbles? Let's get some bat
Let's
nibbles.
get bat nibbles.
Thank you, Jason Atkins, in the chat.
Johnny.
Ooh.
Last movie seen in real 3D, like 3D or not?
Avatar.
Avatar. Yeah, both times I've seen it was
probably-
Avatar.
Yeah.
Both times we saw
I
it.
prefer 2D personally, but I want to see Spider-Verse in 3D, but I don't know if I will. But
3D and Avatar is so good.
it
Uh,
is. It's gorgeous.
Was Avatar was after Multiverse of Quantumania, right?
Yes, it was
Okay.
December.
No, the Quantumania was
way after.
okay. Then it would have been
like
Quantumania.
a year after. No, it was like 2 months.
Okay, yeah, I was like, no, that's not true.
Time.
But yeah, Quantumania. Then I guess it would have been for me. Which it got better in 3D. It looked better in 3D.
Tyler Fletcher, I understand. Thank you for the super chat. I understand the ending, but also don't. What the hell? I know that's the way a lot of people are feeling about it, but don't worry, it's not going to matter. DC resets every other movie, so don't you fret about it. We're going to solve it. Even James Gunn's going to keep that going. If there's one thing I want James Gunn to consistently do, is constantly reset DCU as often as you can.
Every movie
just a
resets the time.
constant, just keep course correcting.
The only consistency
matter
is
what.
inconsistency.
Yeah,
Groundhog Day universe now.
I did have a feeling general audiences would not care about this movie that much. Boomstick Warrior! Boomstick! A Boomstick Warrior!
Run, Barry,
Run to the super chats.
Yes.
These are so stupid. Will Ant-Man's director retroactively take the CGI excuse from this movie, i.e. MODOK looks like crap, because that's how Ant-Man perceives him. See, I can understand the intention of like the Speed Force. To me, honestly, feels intentional. Not the cameos, but the.
I don't think it's an excuse. I do think Muschietti set out for that look. Like, I think the Psycho. What is the drone? I keep forgetting the name of it. Chrono Dome?
Chrono Bowl.
Chrono Bowl. I do think that was like how he perceived it. I think that was a goal.
Yeah,
I get it.
I don't think though it immediately conveys to the audience so that this is intentional.
I agree with that.
Which is why so many people are bitching about it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. I don't think
Yeah.
he's lying. I just
Yeah.
don't think it landed the way he intended.
Like the first time it shows up, I was like, "Oh no."
We talked about it
Yeah.
like very quickly.
Yeah.
That was one of our first
Yeah.
talks. Was
I
like,
was like-
you guys just see that shit?
Well,
Yeah.
and there's not a 100% consistency of when, unless it only applies to the Chrono Bowl, there's not a 100% consistency of how Barry sees figures in Speed Force scenarios.
why I
because
said the
sometimes
baby
people
thing.
are real and sometimes they're not. Yeah.
Well, I think when he's seeing like these different, I don't know. It weirdly didn't bother me because it bothered me when you're seeing like when you're literally looking at the other universe.
Yeah.
And these other people. It's like you're watching a scene, but when you're watching like this slow motion interpretation
Of
thing,
reality.
yeah,
That
that's-
didn't bother me at all, and I thought it was kind of cool and psychedelic. Like, if you've ever
Yeah.
done like a heroic dose of mushrooms, the world kind of looks like that.
I could kind of, the second
Yeah.
time around, I could kind of see the idea. Like, yeah, this is like, I don't know. It almost felt like if they'd made them part of the sands of time that Barry's standing in or
Yeah.
something, that could have helped, like, give them just sort of a
I love that.
peripheral sandy sheen or something.
All right, guys, I'm gonna refresh these.
Ooh,
I'm going to have to turn the super chats off.
what?
Yeah. But we're gonna finish them.
Oh.
But I just want to because we don't end the stream without finishing
Everyone.
every single one. I just gotta turn them off, and I want everyone here to see what YouTube says when you try to turn off. The
It's
super
ominous.
Chat. Oh, you damn V900! You might have got the last super chat in there.
Oh,
Congratulations!
boy.
Look out, look out.
There it
If
is.
you continue, your fans will no longer see super chats as a purchase option, and you'll no longer earn revenue from it. I understand the implications of this action.
I love how
Something
that
that
is
Barry
phrased.
Allen wouldn't understand.
He moves those
Yes.
cans. We don't.
We don't move the cans.
Stick around for the end of the stream. I'm going to tell you my flash sex joke. I got a flash. There's one flash sex joke sketch I've always wanted to make.
Good.
Stick around till the end of the stream.
If only Robot Chicken was still making episodes.
You'll like it. You'll like it. You'll like the sex joke.
Somebody asked about.
Please remind me, guys.
At the end,
At the
he made a
end,
promise.
to tell you my flash sex joke.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Wait, let me just check these. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna keep on track. Even the movie's good. The CGI is pretty ugly. Hey, man, it's rare where you can catch a movie where you're like, bad CGI, but I still had so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we got one stream lab. I want to just cross off
Knock
the
it out.
bucket list here.
I've been waiting my entire life for this one Streamlab.
Can't die without it.
Guys,
Never leave the cave without it.
oh my God, John.
Yeah.
Bad credit card.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised you're the first person to ask about this.
Yeah.
I want Pierso3. Is asking, thank you for the Streamlab. What do you think they're going to do with the Ezra Miller Flash now? Just erase them and never mention them again, or a recast? Well, because Ezra did such a good job, I think we should just never talk about anything again that has been brought up. My favorite thing that keeps happening, what I love is that every Ezra Miller video that we had done in the past, which we haven't done in a very, 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 very long time, but every one we had done in the past, John was with me in all those. And yet, there's this camp of Ezra Miller defenders who seek me out on social media.
Well, there's an easy answer to that.
All the time, who are like, when is Greg going to acknowledge the stuff he said and done? I'm like, man, why aren't you guys looping John in?
Because you tweet consistently.
That's true. That's true. Your page is more
I
active.
don't tweet about. It happens in the comments too. I'm like, John's
Just
in
Greg.
the videos
Just Greg.
too.
Because you are the head, you are the face. I'm just
50% of the praise.
NPC in this
I got all the
universe.
praise. Okay. My thing is, like, there's these people who have, like, gathered, like, here's the insurmountable evidence that everything you've ever heard on every story is a lie. That is, like, what they do.
Yes.
And I've gone through it. And I'm like, okay, maybe, sure, yeah. But then I'm always brought back to this one question, the same question that comes up. Why aren't the publicists and agents and managers publishing any of this if this is all completely accurate? Like, why did they chose the path of just shut up, Ezra Miller, just shut up, don't do any
We gotta
content.
hide you away.
If this is all true, why isn't the public legal team doing any of this stuff that apparently you people online can find?
Yeah, this would be
I'm not
dream
saying
evidence.
I'm not
if it
saying you're
was the
wrong.
case.
And the numbers are pretty staggering. I get tweets that are like 95% of it has been proven false, and that's a big number.
Yeah,
My
it's like
take,
everyone, right?
everything.
And especially after watching with the Jonathan Majors thing, with them being like, we have this dubious evidence, and we're just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
You'd think they would take any opportunity with Ezra.
I will say I am very much team, like, there should be a way to prison isn't about living in prison, it's about like fixing things. And I do think that
Rehabilitation.
I do think we're entering deeper into, like, there is an unforgiveness pact made by the public. I think that we all, like, I'm not saying cancel culture. I'm not a comedian that just moved to Austin, Texas. I am, however, saying that there is an instinct of certain people to be like, this is them going to jail and throw away the key. I would love to, once we find out actual fact and details, to see any sort of forgiveness and to see if there's rehabilitation. And I don't know what that looks like. I'm not in the court system. I'm not any of these things. So people getting mad at me for saying in our video, our reviewing this does not condone or encourage the actions of one Ezra Miller was meant to make levity of a thing that we just don't know the facts of. I really, really want Ezra to be great. I want that. I would love for a person to be happy every time. I just don't know what goes into what actually happened. And until we do, it's not really fair.
Yeah.
Same with Jonathan Majors. We don't know what actually happened. It's not really fair to make judgments at all, much less profit off them. Lots of YouTube channels. So I want Ezra to be rehabilitated, and I want Ezra to be happy, and I want any of these things to have facts before conjecture.
Yeah.
Personally.
But
yeah.
the recap.
I mean, a lot of it just doesn't look good. I mean, if we're talking,
I just don't know. I've only seen one TikTok.
There's so much smoke.
There's a lot of smoke.
There must be some kind of fire.
But
Accountability is good.
I think that it is a goddamn shame if they absolutely choose to not talk about any of it.
I agree, because I do think this movie has a lot of impact.
Even when I was pretty I was like, good. Nope, I still want your movie to come out because a lot of people worked on it, but you don't have any other thing coming out. If you get cast in something else upcoming, like, we should come on. We need to hear something.
I think there should be statements made, and I do think I don't know how much this impacted the box office. I really don't. I'm actually surprised.
Shit, honestly.
Well, that's why I'm surprised that hasn't come up in these questions, and I think that's a good thing. And I appreciate this audience not making it about that. Like, to be honest, it's about the movie, and the fact that that hasn't come up is thank you. But we need facts.
I think Ezra working on themselves, great, fantastic.
If that's true.
you know, it's just there's some actions that, especially when we're talking about what was the whole thing about the grooming situation. To me, I'm like,
That's an
ooh.
unforgivable if true.
Yes,
Unforgivable.
Yeah.
Period.
So clarity. Do one interview. Just one interview.
Something.
Did you see any of his interviews on the carpet? I didn't see any.
Yeah, there's one.
Is there one?
There was one that went out, but I think that was it.
Okay.
But Ezra's great in the movie.
Impressive work.
I think Ezra's amazing in it. All right, guys, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna shift
We're
gears.
doing it
here.
all. We're doing everything right now.
James Gunn, hold on. Everyone be quiet.
Okay, I'll sit silently.
All right. Here we go. Oh yeah, you can't refilm Ezra scenes. Impossible. Impossible to
Yeah,
film Ezra scenes.
They're every frame.
Can you imagine? CGI already as awful as it is.
Yeah.
How much worse would it look?
Also, I'm not sure another actor can quite do that. That was a truly impressive performance. Like, truly.
Tom Hardy.
I've seen that movie, and I don't know Ezra, young Tom Hardy and 30-year-old Tom Hardy. Flash. I love Tom Hardy. Flash.
Grant Gustin could have done it. Chef C.
The guy who did it could have done it.
Chef C. Chef C says, hold on a sec. Hold on. I've messed everything up in my life.
Chaos.
What are you doing, man?
Chaos.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
With Super Chats.
Or to follow my other posts, an episode with all of you on the MCU tropes, personal fatigues, and annoyances that you hope will change the MCU behind the production nitty-gritty you wish they'd be better at. Well, maybe one day do a video on that. I think Secret Invasion, which we all did have the privilege of seeing with Samuel Jackson right next to us the entire time.
High fives.
Staring right at us.
So it's the best thing Marvel's ever done. No, that's not true. He was not there. But I think Secret Invasion is the exact pivot for every complaint you've ever heard. That was one where I want you guys to tune in the video to see I know Coy's already put his out there. See what our opinion is. I will say that I was admittedly a little bit surprised by the Rotten Tomato score.
Shocked.
It's been a while since I was like,
Shocked.
Yes.
really? And then I went through it, and I was like, are you the same people that complain about the old MCU?
Because
Old
this-
MCU really does?
All
Yeah,
the things
so,
you
yeah,
claim
it
to
was-
want, this is doing, and it's doing it exceptionally, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I put out a
was-
50-second thing because I didn't want to, reveal too much of our opinion, but I was gobsmacked by
Yeah,
the Rotten
I
Tomatoes.
was a little bit surprised. Ryan Clem Benz.
Run,
Bart.
Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
James Gunn recently said Spider-Verse inspired him to pursue high-quality animated films for the DCEU.
Dope.
Which DC characters do you think lend themselves to that format? Every single one of them, because especially there's more of a fantastical world to the DC universe than, say, the MCU, actually. Or at least with what James Gunn is starting off with right now. Of course, there's Marvel characters that are absolutely fantastical. I just think what the DC direction that he's going is a little more fantastical. So I think any one of them is. So specifically Creature Commandos. That's the one. I think he should do a Creature Commandos animated series.
Oh,
Oh,
what an
wow.
idea. I wonder if he's going to do something like that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good DC characters that could be, like the Green Lantern Corps. I'd love to see, we're going to get the two of them in live action, but there's so many members of the Corps. It'd be cool to see an animated Green Lantern. I think that Plastic Man really suits animation. I'd love to see that comedy translated to like premium animation. I think there's a lot of really interesting Justice League dark implications. I'd love to see Constantine live action again, but I also would love to see certain things in the world of Swamp Thing. Maybe not like so.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing is deserving of a live action for sure, but also deserving of an animated. I think there are different things you can do in each. So there's a lot of characters that would benefit both, and yeah, I'm excited.
I would love to see a Polka Dot Man origin story, like a horror tale of that.
Well, and if you read Swamp Thing, the Alan Moore stuff, it ends so in a way that could not be filmed. So I'd really love to see some of the things that like Alan Moore did with Swamp Thing and animated.
We need to face facts, Coy.
What are the facts?
Swamp Thing is boring.
These are lies, lies and slander, lies and slander.
I just liked it in the chat. People have been sounding off what kind of nuts they want to get.
Yeah, I saw cashews and some honey roasted.
And also, Aisha confirmed, or at least clarified, that I guess Ezra Miller gave their interview on the carpet to a rep from the studio, not
Oh,
to a
that
press
makes sense.
outlet. So,
That's a safe place for them to have the one talk.
yeah.
Guys, be quiet.
run, Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
Raccoon Shampoo. Thank you. How do you think DC will go about communicating to general audiences that Superman Legacy is a new thing? James Gunn will probably do some introduction in the trailer. How will they rebuild the box office for lack of better wording?
Big reason you have to recast is because of that. Like, you can't keep Henry because of that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the fact that Flash is not doing well at the box office, like it is coming in under expectations,
Which were low.
and the expectations were not even that high for what this movie needs to profit.
It's I think it's one of the most expensive movies of all time. I know Fast X is the most expensive of the year, which might be the most expensive of all time. This is like number 3.
Yeah, it's not looking good for the box office whatsoever. I mean, the good thing is like it's at least got 2 weeks to perform well. Wait, no, when does Indy come out? Yeah, Indy comes out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? So it's at least got 2 weeks, whereas like, you know, these other movies had like Spider-Man, the Transformers, and this.
Right.
You know? Yeah, so it's got
Guardians.
It's got some time to perform. However, yeah, like, and the critic and the audience score is looking to come in at like a B plus.
Yeah,
maybe.
the Cinema scores and not great.
Because like even the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is like 85, so you're like, okay, so maybe the audience scores are going to be a B plus. So yeah, I think there's never been more of a sign now that like they need a fresh restart for sure. They've had 2. This one is essentially a sequel of sorts from Zack Snyder's Justice League or any of the Justice League movies, and then Shazam 2 is terrible performance, and then Wonder Woman, like no one saw that in the theaters '84 for like some apparent reason.
The weirdest thing.
All
No
Aussie
idea why.
vlogs. I'm so proud of this. Vincent D'Onofrio wants to play Swamp Thing. That was a Coy exclusive. He gave me that during a live panel interview at MegaCon, so I was very proud of that. I
Always
just
a
wanted to-
chance to just fucking fluff your own self, huh?
I just
Corey?
got to
Fluff and
acknowledge
nutters
that
over
after
here.
getting that Swamp Thing. But yeah, I think they're going to make it very clear the DCU is different. I think casting. I love Henry Cavill. I think you have to make it very clear these are different characters. And I honestly, like I said earlier, I think Flash not doing well is going to mean clean slate, not rolling reboot.
Hey, John, Brian Rain wants to know, wouldn't the supermarket receipt have proved Barry's dad's alibi? Oh my God, yes.
That is an excellent point.
I thought of that. I didn't love thinking of it.
What if
Coy's
he
always afraid to bring
Well,
up the negatives?
canonically canonically he crumpled the receipt up and threw it away on
Yeah.
the way home?
That's what Coy would have said if we had brought it up earlier at the stream.
The wormhole
Well,
theory
what I
of
would've
paper
imagined
folding
that he
is actually
probably would've-
represented the receipt.
He
and
used
therefore
the receipt to
to fold the
explain
paper-
time travel.
He probably
Thus
used it to
negating the
wipe the
ability.
blood off the knife.
Yeah.
It's really a struggle. Oh no, I love you so much.
Yeah.
You see, the carbon paper wasn't made then, and so therefore,
yeah.
canonically-
The ink faded off really
Very-
fast in his
it's
pocket.
It's also a supermarket that I imagine they regularly frequent. Couldn't there have been some employee there
Who's
who
like,
might
I
have
see
been
this
like,
guy.
yeah, he was definitely there.
No
I
alibi.
saw him at checkout.
You know, he
Were
could
they-
have had his own receipt machine, though. You know.
Were they timed and dated back in the 90s or so when this would have taken place?
it would have been cash. So that's something, not a credit card which has a timestamp. That would have been cash. That'd be harder. But maybe the printer was broken.
That's what Reverse Flash was busy doing.
He went
just
back and he killed
he
the
just
mom,
went and
but on
stole
the
all
way
the
he was like,
receipt paper.
Yeah.
like the Grinch. He just like takes all the paper.
There's only one camera in that store.
And it's
There's
on
only one
this
camera each,
tomato shelf.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Clouded memory. 100% Greg. The fact that movie doesn't even have Barry contemplate checking who killed his mom seemed odd to me. Well, Coy's right about whatever he said
An hour
for,
ago.
this movie of why not why he didn't do it.
I honestly, if you know who killed your mom, you cannot not do something about it.
camera and
You
it's
cannot-
on those tomato cans.
They're the high risk
are-
item.
Those are premium organic
These
tomatoes.
tomato cans are constantly being checked.
Yeah.
We need security cameras. I want 3 cameras.
We spent the store's whole budget on this camera.
I also like that it was one row of cans, not even like a stock. They were like, these 5 green cans cannot be disturbed.
Yeah, not the blue. We don't need security on the blue ones, just the green ones.
Andrew, thanks Andrew for being here. Saw this movie on 400 milligrams of THC in IMAX.
Wow.
Big
Big
mistake.
Big mistake. Love you guys. The movie not so much. How can you even properly assess this movie?
Yeah, go back.
How'd you get home?
Go back and watch it with clearer eyes.
with eyes.
With your eyes open.
Just
yeah, yeah,
eyes. 400 milligrams. That's like, I don't
felt terrifying.
I don't
I'd
do
have been in the sunken place.
I
by
don't really
then.
do weed, but I know that's a big number.
The highest I've ever gone is like 250, and that was a one time, and I would never do that again.
That
Was a
trip
one-time.
you ate cup.
It was a terrible experience. Yeah.
That sounds
I'll
dangerous.
tell you guys a story about it
Sounds
sometime.
dank.
Long story short, I thought I was in. It's true. 'Cause I was like freaking out at a bar, and I was in the. People were just laughing at me because I was genuinely freaking out the whole time.
You're a public?
Yeah, it was terrible, and I
Don't
was.
even look
I had
at the
just gone
public.
through. I was going through some hard shit at the time, and then so taking this, and I was in this alleyway with a bunch of smokers, like people smoking cigarettes, and then I genuinely thought, I'm only telling the story because it feels fitting for what you said and the fact that there's so much Batman talk. I thought I was in Gotham City, and that, like there were criminals, and I thought like Catwoman was crawling on the wall.
Oh, it's so good.
But you got to understand, I'm not like Batman in Gotham City. I'm just a regular dude.
I'm a civilian in Crime Alley.
Yeah. And so
Doesn't go well for
it's
me.
Like, and I'm just in the
I gotta walk
actual-
home to the
I'm just
Narrows
the
later.
actual nightmare of Gotham. And I
love
was
this so
I
much.
was just shouting at my friends like, "You gotta call me a fucking Uber and get me the fuck!" Like I was just mad at them, and they were just laughing at me.
Oh my.
Are you still friends with these people?
Yeah. No, I was out of line.
would
I was
brought us a
big-
lot
I was
closer,
like,
actually.
You did
like,
go
they-
in
I was
public.
I was the one who
This was a
This
choice.
is a real bonding experience.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's good.
In the chat,
anyway.
don't feel about the eggshell. It's okay. As long as you care enough to try and get the pronouns right, I think that's what matters.
The great example of the thing I was talking about, though. People get so mad, and it's like effort is put in to do better. That's what life's about, is effort, and it's so exhausting. And people are like, they don't care enough about pronouns, and thus they don't care about people. It's like, we tried. We're doing the work.
Well, and if you screw it up, don't get don't
get defensive like I just
yeah,
did.
just be like, oh, okay, I'll update, you know. And
That's all-
I
that's all
think
it
that
takes.
effort, that openness, is what counts.
I'm gonna change my pronouns every 2 weeks.
Go for
And
it.
if you guys
I
don't
accept
keep
all
up,
of them.
Frankly.
I'm going to accuse you of terrible
Identifies as
things.
Greg-Allen.
Malik, Stacy's mom. Hey, Stacy's mom. Favorite members of the Bat family other than Batman? Mine in no particular order: Cassandra Cain, Damian Wade, and Jason Todd. Mine is specifically Dick Grayson as Nightwing.
Love him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, that's my favorite.
Great
one.
call.
Easily.
Is Alfred part of the Bat family?
No. So
He
shame
is
him.
so.
You're a slave, Alfred.
He is the paternal force.
You are an employee
Oh, dark.
only.
Yeah.
You do not come to the family Christmas
you
party.
get a W-9 at the end of the year.
I'm Dick Grayson's a huge one for me. I'm a big fan of when they have like less than 20 Bat family members. Like I personally like it contained. I like Dick Grayson. I like Tim Drake, but I don't like it when it's like part of 20 of them. I think that Cassandra Cain is really interesting solo. I actually like her better by herself. I'm a big Barbara Gordon guy. I think Barbara Gordon's my favorite next to Dick Grayson. I think she's great as Oracle, great as Batwoman, great as just the daughter of a commissioner. She's got a lot more depth to her than a lot of the Bat family. And Alfred. Those are my three. Alfred,
Yeah.
Nightwing, Barbara Gordon.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, obviously. Freedom.
Malik Curry. Thank you, Malik. Yeah. It's a 10.
Run.
Run to the super chats.
I genuinely enjoyed parts of this movie. It had an 8 out of 10 prior to the end. Ending took it down to a 6 for me. Wow, that's wild. Like the actual end? I just didn't like how the okay, you're talking about the finale. I just didn't like how the importance of Supergirl and Batman was basically wiped away. A little bit, yeah.
Kind of.
But it wasn't their universe. Okay, he went to that universe.
I'm conflicted. I like the point of you can't save the both of us, and also this whole universe that you've created here is doomed, and you got to let it all go. I like the purpose of that, but also, yeah, it is sort of like, oh damn.
Yeah, no, the point of it is that it's not like they could keep this universe intact with Supergirl and Batman around. Like they're going to lose; it's inevitable. So he has to go back in time and stomp his mom's face in.
American
Himself.
History Flash.
Himself.
Yep. Let's go.
strange man with sunglasses and a new hat with tags on them just suddenly attacks this woman.
That's really the twist that he had to just murder his mom intentionally.
I did find it interesting that throughout the film they do dress the different berries in yellow at key moments.
I do think that was going to be plans for the sequel, and like the young Barry was in yellow very pointedly.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was like just for comic fans, like hee hee, or if it was going to be any sort of like delivery.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
With super chats.
With D's nuts.
Captain Kirk,
Cashews.
do you think Machete will directing The Brave and the Bold? Do you think we may actually see a more comic animated series accurate Batman that uses both gadgets and detective skills? Baston, how he handled Keaton? Yes,
Yeah.
I do. That is a big aspect that I am very much looking forward to. I think what he did not see Reverse Flash. Are you the same one who's been
People
in the chat saying
said
this all the time?
this. I haven't seen
I
this.
think you saw Reverse Flash, but I think you saw it was a yellow light. Do you think it was watch me be way wrong?
He sends you a
Eric
frame.
Ross has some video from a camera recording. That's
Yeah,
like, freaking, I'm like,
yeah,
oh, really?
If you zoom into this one pixel.
The reflection in his eye in the sequence.
Yes, I completely think that it'll be one that differentiates itself from Robert Pattinson's Batman, but I am excited to see a Batman with a little bit more gadgets and gizmos and whatnot. I hope he slides down a pole and changes.
Hope he has bat repellent.
Shark repellent. That would be
Yes.
amazing. I think it'll be more fun. But like what we saw, what he did with even like the old school gadget gizmos that Michael Keaton had here.
Even Batfleck had an
Even
old school
Batfleck, exactly. Yeah.
Gatling gun.
That's what I mean. I think there's a lot of potential for what he can pull off, and I think with James Gunn, I feel like James Gunn's going to be really hands-on. I feel like eventually there's going to be one of these movies where step out of the way. You don't know what you're doing.
I got it.
Let me direct it. Let me direct it.
Sure.
I also like that the Flash movie was like at the premiere. It was Hamada, Gunn, Safran. Like it was the old guard and new guard, and that feels really hands-on, like unifying. And Jim Lee got promoted to the head of like DC Creative for all the
There
comics.
was a lot of thank you to Zack Snyder too.
Yeah, there was.
There was a lot of gratitude.
And Ben Affleck was clapping very like I noticed he like accelerated his clapping, and I was like, that man's got a lot of respect for Zack Snyder, and it was cool to see like that respect. But I also think that Muschietti's going to be more able to do what he wants without having to make a sequel, requel, launching point, ending point.
Oh,
like this,
totally.
like this will be his Batman, and I think his love of Batman is going to shine in a different way. And I think that keeping Matt Reeves' Batman will allow this to be more fun-spirited. And a lot of people have been wanting that from Batman for years, like since Nolan took over. But he's like, I want a fun Batman. I think with Reeves now you can have the duality and dichotomy of both. There it
That's
is.
what
Bingo.
I need to in the next voice one. Okay, so
Keep missing that last D word.
going off of Malik's last one, he said, I genuinely enjoyed parts of this movie and had an 8 out of 10 prior to the end. And he took it down to a 6 for me. I just didn't like how the importance of Supergirl and Batman was basically wiped away. What he continued saying was, I get that they used their inevitable deaths to show Barry you can't change the past, but it just didn't sit right with me. I do agree that there needed to be, especially for Supergirl, there needed to be a little bit of an extra oomph.
Just more
for
meat.
her.
Yeah.
Because at least with Batman, they made the concerted effort to show, like, hey, he at least got something out of this. but Supergirl is just like, I'm back, I'm dead. Like she's saying,
Two lines from the actual film.
Yeah,
Very Shakespearean, that one scene.
I agree. I agree with you. I wouldn't disagree with you on that. But man, I just think Sasha Calle is great.
Truly.
So much presence.
Great presence, and she is not ugly.
She
Captain
was
Kirk is here.
She was outside the screening I went to, in bright silver pantaloons.
Run to the super chats.
What do you think about Wally being our new Flash for the DCU? Do it and have Ezra Miller play Wally. And they used the comic reasoning of Barry going missing in a crisis, which Wally could narrator to the audience a la the Batman opening. Oh, that's great. Who could play Wally West?
It
Who
has to
should
be
make
like
more. Huh?
10 years ago would have been perfect.
What do you think? That's mean.
I'm sorry time
You
happens.
ageist.
Dude, the amount of people that got mad at me for saying that like the Harrison Ford Indiana Jones used his age appropriately for stunts. They were like, oh, that's ageist. I'm like, a 70-year-old man moving is impressive. Like it's just time happens.
It's not ageism to just note
life happening.
The embracing of age.
I did not know the Indiana Jones fandom was so toxic. Anyway, back to this toxicity. I think that Wally West is the right move because I think they made Barry Allen kind of a mix between Wally West and Barry Allen. I think of Barry Allen as a much more golden age hero. He's got like more of that Hal Jordan quality. I think Grant Gustin plays him like 80% Barry, 20% Wally. I think that it's the inverse with Ezra. He plays a much more jokey. He almost plays Impulse. But I think Wally West would be a good eye line for the audience in the Justice League, someone that you can attach to, someone that you can really connect with as a fun-spirited character that is super kinetic and high energy. And I think that's going to be important with how big the Justice League is going to be under James Gunn.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. You know, I still feel like Grant Gustin is the definitive Flash for me.
Especially Barry.
Yeah, I think Grant Gustin is just perfect in that role. No matter where that show faltered, Grant Gustin was consistent.
Flash Gordon is the best one. Savior of the universe.
Did we catch up on the one we skipped?
What?
Did we catch up on the one we skipped? I know we scrolled
I
up
can't
to
see
get
the mouse.
Oh, okay. There was one we moved over to get the second part. I was just making sure we got the person in between.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, cool. Just helping out.
That's what we just answered. Right?
Got it.
Yes. Okay, just checking it.
Stevie the Geek.
Yep.
Oh, it's this one.
Holy shit, that super chat's huge.
Yeah, see, now I can hear it. This is a good transition.
Movie is not A+. However, it's a love letter to DC Universe. Also, I'm really happy you consider Snyder Cut canon. Battle of Pasternoff and reversing time. I feel like there was one line in there that made me question if they were trying to say it's a continuation of both.
Oh.
I bet Walter Hamada was there being like, cut those lines out. Cut that shit out, man.
It's everything. It's nothing. It's whatever you want it to be. It's whatever the box office says it is.
Zach doesn't like me.
I mean, I think it worked as a Snyder sequel, and I do think it was definitely a love letter to the Snyder Cut, and it definitely felt like the whole Zod sequence felt like it was paying homage in a really nice way.
Oh, definitely.
Sure.
I don't know if it worked.
I think intention.
Intention.
Intention. There's intention.
Sure. Also, Cameron Chisholm, enjoy that Joan is awful reaction. Appreciate you checking that out and just finishing the episode.
All right, guys.
Let's probably go to the next one.
Christian unpronounceable. We're at that point in the stream.
The G Fuel must rise again.
Shit, that super chat's huge.
Okay, so like the scene of Barry phasing through, what was like my favorite Christian unpronounceable says it looked exactly like I imagined it for decades. Those were some damn good phasing scenes.
That's where Reverse Flash was. Is he was in the molecules of the wall. He was just hiding
There was
in
a
the
yellow
wall phasing
molecule
tool.
just phasing in there.
Yeah.
It was also smart because you kind of get you get like an origin tale of Barry without getting an origin tale of Barry.
Yeah, I liked that.
You know, like some of the explaining and at least the alluding to, and there's been a whole television show dedicated to the Flash, so I don't feel like we need like a full-on Flash reaction. You know,
They Spider-Man Homecoming
Flash
them.
reaction, Flash origin tale. You know, when's the Beyond the Sea reaction going up? I don't know. No one's watching our Black Mirror videos, and they take too much work. So
What's Beyond the Sea?
I'm just not going to upload any of them anymore. So Galindo.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
With super chats.
Congrats on the con. Thanks, John.
So excited.
It was all
Saturday.
John. I enjoyed the film, laughed a lot, cried at the end, loved Ezra's performance, Becky and Supercow, and seeing the cage. So funny when Barry tries running in the lab. No power, spaghetti theory is chef kiss.
Great summation.
Damn, that is everything. That is everything I liked.
Some good shit.
Right there.
Well done. That's a
That
succinct.
is-
That
if
should be a Rotten
If
Tomatoes
we
capsule.
Had to encapsulate everything I liked about the movie. I'd be like, yep, all right here.
Super Calle, motherfucker.
Did like the action though.
I like
That
the
Speed
action,
Force run is amazing. At the
So
beginning.
funny.
Oh yeah. And all the
I'm glad it
light
exists. That's
streaks
my
and-
big thing in this movie. I'm really glad. It felt like they loved Flash for me.
Bronson Wright Wolf, what are your thoughts on Lou Ferrigno as the Incredible Hulk? Well, I'm glad you asked in this stream. It's an important time to talk about it. What are your
It is
thoughts
on
on
Disney
Eric
Plus now.
Bana as the Incredible Hulk? Well, I think Lou Ferrigno was the definitive Hulk still to this day.
He is.
What are your thoughts on Eric Bana as the Incredible Hulk? I think in 20 years, They should have him cameo. in something.
They will.
'Cause, you know they will.
Actually,
he
no.
deserves it.
I want Ed Norton to cameo in Secret Wars so
I
bad.
liked Eric Bana.
I loved Ed Norton. He's still like Hulk to me. I love Mark Ruffalo's take, but it's definitely like the team take. Kind of like how Tom Holland is the team Spider-Man. I consider like Mark Ruffalo that, and Andrew Garfield to me as Spider-Man, just like Ed Norton to me as Hulk.
Incredible Hulk for Eric Bana is one of those movies that whenever I look back on it, I'm like, man, there was some cool shit in there that I feel like is not recognized enough. And then whenever I put it on, I'm like, God, this movie's so boring.
You're like, wait, are they right or am I right? Past me.
Like, every time, I'm like, when I think about it, I'm like, man, there was some cool shit. And whenever I'm watching, I'm like, God, this movie's so slow.
Because Eric Bana's the one just
Never
called
actually
Hulk,
even
right?
Seen it.
Eric Bana's just called Hulk, and Norton's
This is called
Incredible
Hulk,
Hulk.
yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
confused.
yeah.
So yeah, I love the Incredible
I've
Hulk.
seen the Incredible Hulk. I have not seen Hulk.
I love that like Ed Norton's
You
so
haven't?
twitchy.
No, the
Wow.
Eric Bana one.
Why is it not on the list?
I
We're on
just
the list.
realized it now. I was just reminded that it exists, but now it is.
It's Ang Lee.
Yeah,
It's artsy.
yeah, and he did. I remember people praising his comic book esque transitions.
I think if I divided the viewing experience up by like 2 separate showings, I think it's enjoyable. Yeah.
You gotta pace yourself.
Yeah.
Sure.
It takes a while to get going. Ismael Montoya. Let's see if we can wrap this up in 4 minutes, guys.
We got this.
I would love to see Robert Pattinson's Batman and his Batmobile in this movie. There, I said it. Yeah, I mean that would be awesome. I hope he gets. I can't wait for Batman 2.
The Batman 2, I'm one of my most anticipated movies. I'm glad it's staying separate so they can do the fun stuff.
Maybe that
too.
penguin show looks great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vale, for the support, my friend. Tim Coogan. Thank you, Tim Coogan, for being here. Prediction: Blue Beetle post-credit is BB's universe slamming into the Gunverse, and that's how BB could be the first hero and Legacy be the first movie.
Interesting.
Gunn did say that would be the first official movie in the DCU, right?
Yep. On Rosenbaum's show.
So he was like, no, this one counts.
Yeah, I think they probably did some reshoots where they took out any references, and they also probably made the universe kind of a catch-all. Like, I imagine it's going to be kind of a clean slate movie where it's like the 90s comic movies where it doesn't have a ton of references to a universe. That way, later they can include Blue Beetle, but this movie doesn't include the other stuff.
I thought this one was supposed to be the reset.
Which,
That's what he said.
Flashpoint?
He said this would be the reset. He flat out said in the announcement of when he announced like 45 properties, he said, "The Flash is our reset film."
But then Aquaman
And
comes out.
I don't get.
Well, yeah.
I don't get the impression this is the reset film.
I feel like with Aquaman coming out, it's basically like...
I thought there would be something at the end that was like, okay, it's been reset. And I'm more like, I got questions.
Well, no, I think he's establishing there's separate universes. The multiverse has been established, so everything else we experience is
So
in a
Barry's
new.
just trapped in some other universe.
He's just chilling, hanging out
Yeah.
with George. But he's got his dad. That's nice.
All right.
Yeah, that I'm still kind of trying to piece that to the whole Blue Beetle is the first character, Superman.
Well,
the
like if there's
first
different,
movie.
the third act
I
has
guess
those
that
different
makes
orbs.
sense, yeah.
So this is an orb we haven't seen yet. Like if there's those different planetoids, like we're on one of those.
I just get like I don't know. It's a technicality.
Barry, run to the super chats.
That V900. It was odd to reshoot the ending with Clooney when we saw the set pics of Keaton getting out of the same car. But doesn't that make it a surprise? Because you're expecting Michael Keaton, right? I understand it was their way of closing off the universe as a joke, but it was strange. Dan V900, no one is going to deny the fact that it's strange and it confuses the audience and raises questions. However, it's George Clooney, and we love the Cloonster, man. He's been so much more respected because he's done so much more, like, cooler work after Batman and Robin. He's won Oscars, man, for acting. People forget that he won an acting Oscar.
Siriana
Siriana, man, he got his nails torn off. Siriana.
also broke his back and had to go to therapy for years because of traumatic headaches.
Boring. So he got
That's Three
Siriana,
Kings.
and then he's good luck, Chuck. He won the Oscar for
Yes.
Oh,
writing and
brother, where art
directed
thou?
there.
Got his, his
That's
Emmy.
why
Yeah.
Dane Cook's trying to get that sequel up.
Yeah, man. So
I didn't actually think it was strange. think
I
makes
thought
a
it
lot
made
of
sense. I thought it was a great way to tie it all up for me.
It's like a classic button of this kind of story. to me.
Exactly to me.
and he has a classic George Clooney line. What's the matter with you? It's like what George Clooney would say.
I also feel like the joke of the whole George Clooney ever being Batman got beautifully wrapped up. It was like closure.
Charles Smith, he says, for all the praise Ezra gets, thank you for the super chat. His performance was
Like Like Av of average?
Average, maybe?
Av?
Is that like mid? Is that like
Avi Arad.
is
and
Avi?
screams sexual insecurity. Well, they established that
He
the
knows
man
what sex
is a full-grown adult and has not had sex.
He knows that it
It is
exists.
a part of the character.
I don't think his performance was average at all. He played two very different people at himself, personally.
Yeah.
I don't think it was average.
No, I thought they did a excelsior job.
I can also type a 7-letter word all the way, so I guess who am I?
There's a
Hey, they gave us money.
hey.
Use the word
Be
Av.
nice.
Av. An avenue.
Nice. That's what I say to all these brand deals.
And he's back.
Put me through hell.
And yes, he does continue to say, to save any misconstruencies, I mean to say, Ezra plays Barry as if the character is sexually insecure, has a lot of feminine mannerisms.
This is why I was feisty, because I don't know, like, what's wrong with having feminine mannerisms? Like, what's the problem?
That's, yeah.
Like, I
well,
It just seems like a judgment, and that's not like.
I got sexual mannerisms. I want to see a movie with Ezra Miller, Jesse Eisenberg.
there is a guy on the
I know
internet
you're
who,
talking about. This is
yeah,
great.
does Michael Cera talk
Yeah,
into
yeah,
you?
Michael
Oh,
Cera.
that's so good.
What do you wanna watch
They're
tonight?
Incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds just like
It's
them. I forgot
creepy.
who the guy is, but he
Yeah.
sounds just like them.
Yeah. I think he
Um,
plays him on the spectrum more than like effeminately.
Don't be racist.
I also
That's
don't
right.
like. I don't see someone having feminine mannerisms as like a deterrent to the character. I think it's like a strength to make him unique.
Sure. Say whatever bullshit you want to get in the crowd, so that way you get hit up on your
Yeah.
DMs.
Say whatever soy koi
Yeah,
for your
soy
soy,
koi's out.
Barry
So
Allen.
reverse
Look
koi's
good
gone,
for
soy koi's
optics,
here.
sure.
Yes.
People
Damn,
shouldn't have sexual freedom and fluidity. They should be one thing,
I-
only one.
I just saw The Blackening, which is really good. I haven't seen anything about it,
wanna
but
see
other
that.
than I saw when I went to check the Flash's Rotten Tomato score, The Blackening had a much better tomato score. The best joke of any film I saw this weekend was in it. Sanctuary was very good. Flash was a 7 out of 10 for me. Blackening, maybe that'll be a video on demand release. By the way, guys, for anyone who's like gives us crap about when we watch something on video on demand here, studios love when you buy a video on demand. They keep
That's
all
the
the
goal.
profit, and there's a reason why they release it so soon after, because it is a massive profit margin for them. So, yeah, are we not in the theaters doing it? No, but the studios are not going to complain when you buy it. We still buy them. We don't download them and watch it. We buy them and watch it. That's how we do it. Charles Smith. To save any misconstruencies, I mean, oh yeah, we read that. We already got. You don't get 2 reads.
No, this is
You
a
don't get 2
multiverse.
reads.
We'll have a same.
Wait, was there one before
different
him
answer.
though? Because there was a middle one.
We got the
Dan
Charles
V.
Smith.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just
You said
did
to
it.
We got
tell
the
you if
Dan
we
V.
scroll.
It's right there on
Okay,
screen.
and then
You
Dan
can
and
look
then
right
Charles.
there.
I see it. I see it now. Thank you.
Trying to keep 3 people on track is impossible here.
Like, are you including yourself in like the third person? There's 3 of us totally. including
Yes,
you.
it's hard to keep 3 of us on track to finish on time. Hold on a second, everyone. All right.
Run, Barry,
Run to the super chats.
We are now watching Superman and Lois season 3. No one cares about our reactions to
Or
it.
season 4 that's just been
Yeah.
greenlit.
Yeah, so it was going to get a lower budget too.
yeah.
Imagine the post-credit scene with Affleck telling Barry to find them setting up the future crisis film Hamada wanted. Yeah, I think one of the original post-credit scenes was actually Ben Affleck. He calls Barry and he's like, "Barry, I'm trapped somewhere else."
Oh, yeah, I
it has
heard-
something
yeah,
to
I
do with
heard that.
Spider-Man.
implication. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
heard that too.
Then the mid-credit scene with Barry seeing Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Supergirl. So that would have still established that, like, oh, we got another one coming. Yeah, that would have been cool. I would have liked that. I would have been neat.
There was also apparently a courtroom scene with like the whole Justice League.
Really?
Yeah, apparently like everyone, including Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Batman, were like in the courthouse, but I don't know how that would have worked.
That's
Really
wild.
care
Boy.
about Barry's dad.
We're very invested. This
Yeah.
man, we loved him. in
We're
Twilight.
here to see that justice is served.
That
We
would
are-
have
we
been,
are
that would have
elite.
been a great
In
one.
fact,
Yeah.
We know this stuff.
Gracie and Ryan.
Yes.
Joey Chaz. Comic movies aren't all flopping. Guardians did great, and Across Spider-Verse was like #2 animated film of all time. It's okay to be wrong, just don't be loud about it. All caps is dumb for you.
Yeah. Rounding down for all the delays, Coy.
I'm just
By an hour.
correcting.
Just showing my appreciation for my 3
Guys,
gorgeous
I didn't get to play it.
bays.
Holy crap,
Oh,
guys.
Do it.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
With Super Chats.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll watch Superman and Lois on our own. I'm planning on that. I am planning on that. Now I can watch it on a big TV with the lights off. It's going to be great. Just showing my appreciation for 3 gorgeous bays. Oh my God, it's Logan Marshall Green in the thumbnail.
Dude, it's so sexy.
No.
Shocker.
I know you cared about it, not a lot of people. It did, like, I'm feeling it, what I'm feeling with Black Mirror right now. Like, God, so much work put into this, and no one's watching.
Yeah.
And then I like, hired, and then like for the second one, it's like hired prepper for it. I was like, oh, I can recoup this editing money back. Like,
Business is hard.
so it happens. It just happens sometimes, though. Still enjoying the show, but you know, like I can't do that for 15 episodes, guys. But with Black Mirror, the difference is we managed to get a lot of patrons from it to help offset some of that. You know, it's got to be the middle ground. We got to love what we're doing and also financially justify it at the same time. Not like oh, we're not making a 50% profit on this. It's like no, it's like a lot of times it's like
Broke even.
Broke enough. You don't want to only always break even, but if you're a constant like for 15 weeks, but if you know you're making like a little bit of money, you're like, all right, cool, that's good. Gotta pay people around here, man. He gets paid for these.
Yeah, by the
He
minute.
gets paid for these. Technically, there's a way to do a minute factor out here. Cam plays. Oh my God, a good one.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Do it quick, Coy.
What Peter comic book series do I read before the original Miles run? So there's a run called Ultimate Spider-Man that leads to the Ultimate Spider-Man that is Miles Morales. So Ultimate Spider-Man starts in the year 2000, written by Byron Michael Bendis and illustrated by Mark Bagley. So look for Ultimate Spider-Man #1 by Bendis and Bagley from the year 2000. It's got red panels on the side. It's him swinging. So that is the start of that run. You can read Volume 1, which is 1 through 13. Issue 13 is one of the best Spider-Man titles ever. If you like it, keep going, but that'll give you just a basis to get to the Miles stuff. And then when he comes into the universe, it's in Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, which is the 2015 run. All you need to read for the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars really is the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four, then his Secret Wars, which folds everything into our universe. The incursion event of the Secret Wars that Jonathan Hickman wrote was basically to allow Miles into our 616 universe from his 1610 universe. So start with the 1610 Ultimate Spider-Man, get to the 616 Fantastic Four, then read the Secret Wars that fold it all in, and then you can read Miles Morales from there and pretty much get the context for everything that he is.
Coy, that was really impressive.
Thanks, man.
I don't know if people have ever pointed this out about you, but you talk fast and efficiently, and you use good words, and you're great at summarizing your points.
And you can do that all like off the dome.
And I know the things, which is good.
But I don't think anyone ever says that about you.
No. That's a great point.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. The Flash, Dan V900.
Oh, he's got 2,
Doubles.
equating to a 10.
Run, Barry,
Run to the Super Chats.
The Flash coming out after Across the Spider-Verse did no favors. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once coming
Exactly
out before
my thought.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
I feel like Everything Everywhere All at Once well, see, it wasn't as big though. You gotta remember, Everything Everywhere All at Once was still like a little indie film.
Yeah.
So not everyone had been seeing it yet. But those who did see it were greatly affected by their experience by the Multiverse of Madness. I completely get it with that. I don't really feel that. I feel like they're still very different in what they're setting out to do, so that I'm not watching it, comparing it, going, you see, Spider-Verse did this, so I thought Spider-Verse did it better, and here's what they should have done with Spider. Like, I feel like this whole stream we haven't really even compared it to Spider. I think
it's the first time we mentioned it was when I said it was doing well. Like it actually come up.
We haven't compared it, right? Whereas like with Everything Ever All at Once and Multiverse, there are so many similarities in what they want to do that you're like, oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can see kind of like, oh, I just saw a multiverse movie. I don't want to see another comic book multiverse. I can see that. But, you know.
My biggest thing was Guardians was so good, and then Across the Spider-Verse was somehow even better, so Flash just had a tricky... Like, that was more of an issue than the multiverse issue.
Heather, you are so loyal to us on our Patreon. Do not send us a super chat.
And your super sticker did go through.
What I will
Sweetheart.
do is send you my bank account information,
correct.
so you can Zelle me or wire me $1,000. Though that would be preferred, honestly,
Yes.
Kind.
because that would just be a private exchange.
Mm-hmm. Did you just get it?
Who's calling you? The Disney publicist.
The Disney publicist is calling me. Marshall's like, why aren't you here?
Yeah, there's 100 people here.
It's my
and we're
birthday. I'm
missing
waiting for you.
We should talk about a DC movie longer for the Disney publicist.
Certain people had their pitchforks ready for Flash and spoiled cameos early due to Ezra Miller. My favorite reference was Keaton asking for the weight. The weight?
Oh, yeah, when he's like, how much do you weigh? Which is a reference to Batman 89 when he asks her how much she weighs to use the same lift.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
He uses
yeah.
it as a
He's gonna
bomb here
use
for that
the-
lift. I thought it was,
That was a really well done reference.
I love that reference.
Because if you don't even get the reference right away,
It still works.
it still works because he's trying to estimate how much power he needs.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you do get it, then you're like seeing that this Batman has evolved. It's genius. I was
Yeah.
really impressed.
That's a very, very well done reference. So, yeah, okay, but we did get stickers, John?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right, guys. Coy, I'm running down for you by 2.5 hours.
Okay.
All right.
Accept these terms.
And conditions.
Don't worry, Coy. You did a Transformers review for 15 minutes. I rounded up to an hour. I'm generous.
That video did well.
Not well enough.
I'm generous. You know you're generous when you go, I'm generous.
Yeah.
I'm the number one
Says Mr.
humblest.
Point out everything I get done around here kind of guy. Huh? Look what I do. No one, Coy doesn't wait for compliments. He's the kind of guy who's going to wait to point out what he's done first.
You know who did it?
Shut up,
Me.
John.
Oh boy.
Me.
Shut up.
I need to be complimented.
The
Humbled.
stream is bringing out the worst in John.
That's right, man.
Now that I could put my elbows at this table, I've adopted a whole new attitude.
Another hour.
Next stream is gonna be all elbows,
No, I'm just,
boy.
now I'm just
Okay.
here to be like,
Hanging out.
let me tell you, asshole, something you don't know.
This is long-haired Keaton.
This is gonna
Long-haired
actually
Keaton at the
do
beginning.
We need
good
a-
things for the
We need
stream.
a longer table.
We do, because
Yes.
this, frankly, is one elbow.
No, that's good because that'll keep your energy as the central like table energy,
And then we're like
yeah,
kind of
and then-
hanging.
and then we're only half relaxed.
We're
you
like
know?
80s kids, just like chilling in
Yeah.
a poster.
That way, it's perfectly proportionate and symmetrical.
All right,
like
we
that
did
about it.
everything. We had our gear sticker. Guys, we've done it. We've done it all.
We got the last Dan V.
No. Yes, we did. I read it. You don't pay
Spoiled
attention.
cameos early. All right.
Keaton
You
asking
don't
for the
pay
weight.
the weight. The whole thing about the weight. We did a whole
Oh,
commentary about
That
the
was
weight.
Sorry, I got just
Lean
because
back,
we
Greg,
didn't
is
address
angry.
You
the first
see
half.
what you see
'Cause
what
we
I deal
didn't
with,
address
here,
the
guys.
first half. All right, that's good.
I'm still leaning forward, so you're happy.
How
about
many times have you guys been like, "Did we do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we just did a whole thing about
it.
it."
I had
But
four,
there were a
John had
few
two.
times where we hadn't.
That's true.
Yes, and then we did them.
And we got nervous, though. That
So
might
it's
happen
worth-
again.
We haven't.
So it's worth the margin of error
I think
to
so.
try.
No.
This is how we should end the stream, fighting.
Who's winning, chat? Chat, who's winning
just hit
right
exit.
now?
Like, don't even like let people think we're like brawling like off camera.
You're like, I'm just turning this camera off.
This is done.
You're exhausted, Dinah guy. I keep going forever. I've had like 3 14 to 15-hour days in a row.
It's been a big week.
I can keep. This is nothing compared to that. So stop yelling at me, Dinah guy. You're getting defensive.
Should we plug the interview?
I haven't had to apologize to a couple people. What interview?
The one that I did for the thing that
Oh,
drops.
Coy interviewed the director of Secret Invasion.
You said to
Apparently it's
remind
great.
you, and I didn't know if we should
No,
do that.
okay, no, I know we're ending with the sex joke.
There it is. Nobody is winning.
Yes, thank
True
you.
that.
One of two.
Accurate.
True.
All
that,
right.
Gene. Also,
right.
check out
You
Gene's.
guys okay?
Check
Not
out
for
Gene's new
years.
Prince book.
All right, before we end, check out Gene's book. Okay. So I don't like have a joke. It's not like my Captain Hook joke. You know, like how did Captain Hook? Have you heard my Captain
No.
Hook?
That's how
joke?
all great jokes
How did
begin.
Captain Hook die? He wiped his ass with the wrong hand. Classic. Now, I really just have like a sketch idea of what my flex joke is. I've loved in the Injustice game, you know, that fight maneuver when he goes goes in the Speed Force. He does a bunch of punches and like to their whole body, and then it goes into real time mode, and then you see their opponent go like like all at once. I want to see that for like a scene when, you know, he has to rush to get to work, and Iris is like, "Oh, but Barry, why don't we just do it really fast?" And he's like, "I don't have time." But he's like, "But I could still satisfy you." Then he goes into the Speed Force and does her in like, you know, like
A myriad of
500
ways.
positions, just super duper fast. Gets out of it, and then she's like, I thought we were gonna, and then she just feels
friction.
all the sensations everywhere just like pops into like orgasmic, just smoking a cigarette right away.
And people wonder how Barry gets Iris West.
The friction
Yeah.
alone.
She knows.
is gonna
Oh,
burn
he's got
so
flash lube.
terribly.
You know that if Clark Kent has like kryptonite condoms, he's got flash lube. There's some scientific lubricant that can withstand the friction and,
Right.
and speed. He's got it.
Anyway, guys,
He's a
that's
scientist.
my flash sex idea.
All right.
That's good.
It's
All
an
right.
even weirder place to end the stream than fighting. Which I like.
Thank
about
you
it.
guys so much for being here. Leave a like on your way out. Appreciate everyone who contributed to our super chats and stream labs. In all sincerity, thank you, John, again for being
She feels
here, being
everything
awesome.
everywhere all at
Feels
once.
everything everywhere all at once. It's amazing to hear. That's great.
Had to give that.
I should have ended it
That's a
there.
good joke.
Coy, thank you for bringing in the A game here. There's a reason you are brought here so often now, specifically to bring your comic book knowledge to reaction videos like the Extraction 2. Couldn't keep it sincere. I'm sorry.
Nope, I know. I
Couldn't-
felt
couldn't-
you
couldn't
veering.
do it,
I felt
couldn't
you
do it,
like
just-
not knowing how to
couldn't do it.
period.
Whatever. I don't even know how to take a compliment.
That's
all
true.
right?
I gave you a few.
So,
Didn't like it.
like,
Didn't like it.
So if I don't know how to receive one, that's why I don't know how to give one sincerely.
true. It's
I
just
understand it
cycles through.
now.
It's an Ouroboros.
Anyway, guys,
Snake
we'll see you
complimenting
guys.
its own tail.
Thank you guys again.